A young woman disappears under disturbing circumstances.
She said, God forbid anything happened to me. I love y'all.
When I tried to contact her, I couldn't get through.
We knew something wasn't right.
At first, her family's calls for help aren't taken seriously.
They looked at us like we were crazy.
We just took matters in our own hands.
The family was out there doing their investigation.
But a surprising witness will change the course of the investigation.
You can start telling me the truth about everything.
He gave us a lot of information regarding that night and what transpired.
He may not ever be able to get that image out of his mind.
Dealing with train tracks and dumping bodies.
I'm like, wow.
Will justice ever be served?
He was on the run.
They were protecting him.
It felt like a movie, like it was not real.
You don't supposed to wish death on anybody, but this one time, I needed that to happen because he took somebody so special.
The state's second largest city, fondly known as the City of Good Neighbors.
Sometimes we get overshadowed by New York City, but with Buffalo, there's a lot of heart. It's not a small town, but it has a small town family feel. People tend to know each other, grew up together.
The reasons why it's called the City of Good Neighbors is because when a crisis hits, you will see your neighbors come to help you.
And one local family may soon find themselves in need of support.
It was about maybe 7, 8 in the morning.
Ronisha White received a video call from her sister, Tierra Lott. And when she saw her sister on the screen, it was obvious that something was wrong.
One side of her face was swollen.
Sierra, slow down. What's going on?
She just kept saying, like, I gotta get out, I gotta get out.
To 22-year-old Tierra Lott, family was everything.
It was really close. Talked on the phone every day. And mom first, but we joked and played, danced.
You couldn't see her and not see her sisters right behind her. Kids-wise, we was always together, you know, sharing the same room. If I went outside, she had to come outside type of thing.
I've had moments of her just busting in my room, jumping on me, like that was my person.
To everyone who knew her, Tierra was the life of the party.
She was crazy, but she was a good crazy though, like outgoing, fun, like talkative.
Tierra was always just silly, always cracking jokes on somebody.
She always made you laugh, made you happy.
But she also had a more sensitive side.
Tierra was a loving, caring person.
She was a sweetheart.
She will give you a chance with her heart on her sleeve. She always showed up when I needed her. She will give you the shirt off her back.
Although Tierra left high school early, education always remained important to her.
She ended up going for her GED at Urban League.
Soon after, she began a career in home health care.
Once she started doing the home care, she fell in love with doing that. She was just a workaholic. You never seen her.
When she enrolled in college to become a medical assistant, it seemed like a perfect fit.
It definitely was up her alley.
She put a lot into her schooling and she always reached for the sky. She always wanted better.
And when she wasn't working, she loved spending time with her boyfriend, Andre Wiggum.
She met her boyfriend, Andre, through a close mutual friend.
She was happy and he made her happy.
But Tierra wasn't only finding success in love.
She was about to start a new job.
She was really excited.
She definitely did have so much going for her.
Only now, Tierra has called her sister bruised and swollen.
I gotta get out of here. Okay, well, what do you need from me? What can I do?
I don't know. My stuff is already packed.
Okay, well, what? Tierra.
She told me she had everything packed up, ready to go in the kitchen. She just gotta go.
But not long after, Ronisha received a worrying message.
She had sent a text message.
She said, like, God forbid anything happened to me. I love y'all.
Immediately, Ronisha texts her sister back.
I said, I love you too, but don't talk like that. But there wasn't no answer, no text back or anything like that.
She never responded.
What's happening?
"22-year-old Tierra Lott was going strong with her 27-year-old boyfriend, Andre Wiggum.
He made her happy. She really loved him.
This was like her boot.
Tierra's professional life was also taking off.
She had just got that new job. She was excited.
But now, her sister Ronisha fears she could be in trouble.
When Tierra called Ronisha with a bruised face, she told her to leave from where she was. She said she was about to.
But not long after Ronisha hung up, she got an ominous message from her sister.
She had sent a text message stating that I love y'all and to tell everyone else that I love them too. When I tried to contact her, I couldn't get through.
And Tierra never texted back.
With rising concern, Ronisha begins contacting family members.
Yeah, I don't know. Something's wrong.
I reached out to my sister. I asked her, did she speak with her? She said no, she had missed calls from her, but she was sleeping at that time. I contacted my mother, explained to her what's going on.
Ronisha was saying that she can't get through to Tierra. That bothered me that day. We started calling, and we couldn't get no answers.
And that evening, the family decides it's time to take action.
She's not calling back. She's not on Facebook. That's when we knew something wasn't right.
The family assumed Tierra was calling from her boyfriend's place.
Thought maybe they got into it. You know, maybe her phone broke.
She had her own apartment, but for the last few months, she'd been staying over there a lot.
But her family doesn't know much about him.
I saw pictures of him and stuff like that, but I never got a chance to meet Andre.
We've never been around him. He don't be out anywhere we be out.
Which means they don't know where he lives.
We knew the street, we just didn't know the physical address.
But the family doesn't let that stop them.
We went over there searching up and down the street, trying to figure out which house it was.
The street is a really long street. It's like 4 blocks all the way down. This was a process.
We were knocking on doors, but nobody wasn't trying to give us no information.
Then they finally make contact with Tierra's friend who'd introduced the couple, who also happens to be related to Andre.
She knew what house it was.
She was pretty close with Andre, and if something was wrong, she wanted to help.
Moments after getting the information from her, Tierra's sisters are at Andre's front door.
We went banging on the door. There wasn't no answer. The door is locked.
Immediately, Ronisha calls Tierra's friend back, asking if she can help get them inside.
Yeah, can you get me into Andre's house?
She said, well, y'all, if y'all just come pick me up, then I can try to get y'all in the house.
Okay, we're coming to get you.
But when they return with Tierra's friend, they immediately notice something is off.
We get out the car. I said, hold on. They had a motion light. The motion light was working when we first got there. When we came back, the motion light was off, completely off. So I'm like, hold on, that's strange. Now the door is left open. So I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. That don't seem right.
Tierra! Andre! Tierra!
Tierra's sisters quickly proceed in the house.
Everybody turning flashlights on their phones so we can see what's going on. We're screaming his name and my sister's name.
Tierra! Andre!
Not only is no one inside, but they also find the house in disarray.
Everything is just scattered like somebody left out of there in a rush. I see the belongings that Tiara said she had packed up and ready to go in the middle of the kitchen floor. Now I'm panicking. Where is my sister?
But before Tiara's sisters have a chance to react, they're interrupted.
What are y'all doing here? We're looking for our sister Tiara.
She trying to play like she lives here. This is her house. She's been living here for this amount of time.
Get out! Where's Tiara?
She said she never seen Tiara here ever in her life.
But if this woman is a roommate of Andre's, Ronisha is sure she is lying.
Not only are Tiara's things in that house, but Ronisha knew her sister had been spending the night at her boyfriend's house a lot.
So she contacts their mother.
My mom said to just grab Tiara's stuff and leave.
Within hours, the family decides it's time to get the police involved.
We went to the police, and that's the day that they sent the police officer over there to meet us.
They did a little welfare check, but, of course, no sign of her.
So tell us what exactly happened.
They say when they spoke with her via FaceTime, they did notice bruises on her face.
We showed them the text. God forbid if anything happened to her, and she loved us. That's basically what alerted us.
And you haven't heard anything since?
No, we couldn't get through.
We knew that she was in harm because she don't do that. She answer her phone. She don't go off of Facebook. She stay in social media.
But now she's nowhere to be found.
They said that the house is disarray and like somebody left in a hurry.
And she was staying here with her boyfriend. Can you tell us about him?
I mean, not much.
The family states they don't know Andre that well.
When she was with him, he'd be in the background. And I was like, when I'm gonna meet him? Or I tell her put him on the phone and she'd just giggle, that silly laugh. Tiara kept him at bay.
For now, the police don't seem too concerned.
When you're a Black 22-year-old woman, they figure you're grown or what have you, so Tiara wasn't a priority from law enforcement.
But she is a priority to her family.
We know her. You can't tell us about our child. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't tell us anything.
Okay, well, let us know when you get more information.
So they take matters into their own hands.
Tiara's mom, Pat Davis, was a mother like no other at that moment. She was going to do whatever she could to find her daughter.
The family of 22-year-old Tiara Lott has contacted the Buffalo police after receiving an ominous text message from the missing woman.
They explained that Tiara was in a vulnerable situation.
On FaceTime, she had a couple of bruises and marks.
Tiara told her sister that she was going to leave the house, but then Tiara sent a message saying, if anything happens to me, I love y'all. Tell everyone else. And after that, no one could reach her.
But the family doesn't get the response they'd expected.
The police acted as if she was an adult. She might have left on her own for a couple of days.
Tiara's family can't help but feel the response might have been different if she were white.
Tiara being a Black woman, those cases often slip through the cracks. They don't get the same attention from the media, from the police, as white counterparts do.
There is disparities, the white women syndrome, where they make national headlines overnight.
We're gonna find her.
Desperate to find Tiara, her family begins an investigation of their own.
We just took matters in our own hands and did what we had to do.
It was us doing the footwork, us putting the flyers and everything.
We just got our friends together, people that knew Tiara, family help. We was on the phone a lot, trying to get into her emails. Definitely wasn't eating, sleeping.
We was outside searching through all these abandoned houses, train tracks, just everywhere.
Looking and looking, it was really hard.
The family has little luck. But when they ask the local church across the street from the house where Tiara went missing, they get their first break in the case.
The church had several cameras affixed to its building.
The church was helpful with giving us the video.
As they scroll through the footage, the sisters see themselves arriving to check on Tiara.
They can't get in, the doors are locked, so they leave to go get Andre's family member to help them get inside the house. As they go to leave, an SUV also pulls away.
While the sisters are gone, that same SUV returns and backs into the driveway. It stays for a while and then it leaves again.
That's when we come back and all the doors are open.
More concerning, though, is what they don't see.
Tiara FaceTimed her sister from inside that house. She's never actually seen leaving, but when the family finally got inside, Tiara was gone. So now they fear Andre took Tiara away in the SUV.
We should have never even left because that's what they was waiting for us to leave.
Despite what they've seen, the family tries to remain hopeful.
We still just think, okay, maybe he just jumped on her and he trying to just keep her hostage till the bruises and the swelling go down.
And they think the key to finding her could be inside the house from which she disappeared.
We got to get back into the house to see if it's anything that would help us.
When they return to the scene of the suspected crime, nobody is home, and it's surprisingly easy to get inside.
We got back into the house because the doors was unlocked.
But what they discover inside makes them far less optimistic.
Her coat was on the floor.
That's when I started to really like, oh no, he did something. Because it's wintertime. She not outside wandering around with no coat, no winter jacket on.
With new evidence in hand, the family meets with police again.
After what felt like forever for the family, police finally bring in missing person detectives.
Based on the information that her mother gave to us, we determined something possibly happened.
The detective reassures Tiara's family that their case is important to the department.
I'll make this one of my top priorities.
We were investigating. This was our top priority.
Even so, Tiara's family remains frustrated.
I don't feel like they were looking as hard as we were.
While police focus on tracking down Andre, the family continues their own search for Tiara, partnering with a local nonprofit called Bury the Violence.
Bury the Violence finds missing, runaway, trafficked, and exploited individuals, working with the intersex of domestic violence and homicide.
Well, thank you for your help.
Karima is impressed by Tiara's family's efforts.
The family did exactly what I would expect them to do. When you're looking for someone, it is very important to be persistent because we know that in our community, we have to advocate for ourselves.
Bury the Violence uses their expertise to help make Tiara's case more visible.
We become our own media. Everybody has to utilize TikTok, make this go viral. But we also have to remember that in the picture, in the heavy traffic areas, passing it out, posting it up is also another option.
Thank God for them because it put the pressure on, like, this is happening.
Before long, Tiara's story is all over the local news.
When you saw this mother go on TV saying, Tiara, if you're out there, mommy is here, we're gonna find you, that just hit the heart of so many people.
And the community comes out in droves.
The community was wonderful. People I didn't even know came out, searched with us for 2 days in the cold, 6-degree weather. People stepped up. It really helped. Really kept me grounded.
That's the city of good neighbors. They came together.
Behind the scenes, the police investigation is also picking up steam.
A family member of Andre's comes forward saying he wants to talk to police.
So, you have something you need to tell me?
He definitely felt guilty.
He couldn't take that pressure of holding back.
When I get over there, she's just laying there in a pool of blood.
After the disappearance of Tiara Lott, the only person of interest, her boyfriend, Andre Wiggum, is still at large.
They still wanted him for questioning.
But Buffalo police are about to get a big break in the case.
A member of Andre's family comes forward. Apparently, Andre had called him the night that Tiara went missing.
So, you have something you need to tell me?
Andre called me over.
Andre said something happened and he needed him to come to his house.
He was unsure what Andre wanted, but he showed up to help.
But when Andre led him to an upstairs bedroom, he wasn't prepared for what he saw.
Hey, man.
There was Tiara, dead.
He knew her. She was best friends to his sister, so he watched these girls grow up together.
Apparently, this had all started with an argument that got out of control.
I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here now.
During the argument, Andre got physical with Tiara. They parted to cool down, and when he was asleep, she packed her things. But before she could get out, he must have caught her and lost it.
And now Andre wanted him to help dispose of the body.
Dang, man.
We gotta get some stuff. Come on.
He admits he went along with Andre's request.
Consider his state of mind or his perspective. My family member just committed this terrible crime, and now he's asking me to do something to help him. What happens to me if I say no? I thought that I knew who this person was, and now I don't. There's kind of like a survival response. I got to get out of here alive.
As he and Andre drove, there was little conversation.
First, they stopped and got some alcohol, and then they stopped and got trash bags and duct tape for the cleanup.
But when the men pulled back up to the house, it was clear they had a problem.
Tiara's sisters were there, so they sped off in the car, hoping the woman hadn't seen them.
And when they returned, the sisters were gone.
With the coast clear, they backed the SUV into the driveway and went inside.
But as Andre broke out the trash bags and duct tape, he felt a wave of panic wash over him.
Well, don't just stand there, man. Help me.
I just can't, man.
He couldn't go through with it. He told Andre he'd have to clean it up on his own.
He doesn't know how much time passed before he saw Andre emerge at the top of the stairs.
Andre had Tiara's body slung over his shoulder, inside bags closed with duct tape.
He confesses that he didn't refuse to help Andre load the body into the vehicle.
It sounds like he tried to help as minimally as possible.
He was very forthcoming with us. He gave us a lot of information regarding that night and what transpired.
His story corroborates much of what police had already assumed.
By now, investigators had fully screened the surveillance video that the family had found at the church across from Andre's house.
What he told them seemed to match what they saw on the footage.
So, do you think you can give me the location and the address of where the body is located?
Yeah.
But what the detective really wants to know is where Tiara's body is now.
After a while, he did come up with a location.
Officers drive out to the area.
But when they look around, they find no sign of Tiara's body.
So the detective decides to get tougher.
So clearly, you know you gave me some false information. So you have two options. One, keep lying, and I pin all this on you, and you go to jail for the rest of your life. Or two, you can start telling the truth about everything. So start talking.
Okay. I'll show you where she's at.
He finally gives them a location near some railroad tracks not far from Andre's house.
As they approach the tracks, police have good reason to believe Tiara is near.
He did become uneasy, shaken, and everything.
He started to kind of get this visceral, this physical reaction. As long as she was hidden, he was able to hide in that denial. But as people start to get closer, he now has to realize that I'm associated with something heinous. How did I do it?
When a family member of Andre Wiggum leads Buffalo police to where he claims Tierra Lott's body was dumped, it doesn't take long to find her.
She was found dead near train tracks.
But if it wasn't for him, police may have never found her body.
That particular neighborhood, there is a lot of dumping that has taken place in that area. Trash, tires, so perfect dumping ground, I guess, some would say.
Although Tierra's body has been out in the elements for 2 weeks, she is still identifiable.
It was February, and the city of Buffalo is very cold. So her body was very well preserved.
Now police face the difficult task of notifying her family.
In the case of Tierra, me and another detective did go over to the mother's house.
They basically said body was found on the train tracks. And I just fell into my kitchen cabinet. And I'm like, wow, not my daughter, not my child, not Tierra. Not Tierra.
I just heard my mom just bust out in tears, and I just held her. I just held my mom.
It was really hard. It was really hard. Unbelievable.
After hearing what Andre's family member told police, Tierra's loved ones don't doubt his story.
He grew up around Tierra like a sister.
He definitely felt guilty. Probably was his sister getting in his ear, saying like, you need to come forward. Far as his role, I don't think he had nothing to do with what happened all until her last breath. And Andre made him help move my sister's body.
They're also grateful that he was brave enough to tell the truth.
At the end of the day, that's his family. He had to make a choice, and I appreciate the choice that he did make for us to find her.
And because of that choice, no charges are filed against him.
The location he had my daughter at, I wouldn't have never found her. I lived in Buffalo all my life. I never even knew that location existed.
While it's not the ending the family hoped for, they are relieved to have Tierra back.
Now we can lay her to rest peacefully.
Tierra, slow down. What's going on?
But making any sense of Andre's crime feels impossible.
What's going on?
This attack, I don't know where it came from.
I'll kill you.
She never came to us and said anything about him putting his hands on her or anything.
But in retrospect, there was a sign that something wasn't right between the couple.
We never got a chance to meet him.
I was concerned for that. Why we can't meet him? Why you don't let him come by and see the family? She just said, he always busy, he doing this, he doing that. It was always something, an excuse.
Building that wall of resistance and not being available to share with your family is sometimes a red flag.
There's a tendency to hide, protect the abuser. And somebody who's abusive, they would not want to be around family or friends of the abused because they know that the person support network will sniff it out.
Her family suspects that embarrassment may have prevented Tierra from letting her family in.
She didn't want her mother to feel like she was being mistreated. She wanted her mom to always feel like she's still shooting for the sky and nothing is bringing her down.
There can be a lot of guilt and a lot of shame surrounding the abuse, which often causes people to keep it in.
Who you on the phone with?
And while no one knows what really happened behind closed doors, it's easy to imagine that abuse was happening all along.
It can start as something small, raising your voice, but that can escalate to physical violence.
And Tierra, like so many victims of abuse, stayed.
Victims kind of fall into this cycle with their abusers where they tell you that they're going to change. This won't continue to happen. Unfortunately, the abuser can be very manipulative, and it can be really hard for the victim to know what's real and what's not.
The fact that Tiara was trying to leave the day she was killed may have also contributed to the violence.
The most dangerous time for victims is when they try and leave an abusive relationship.
I have to get out of here.
Leaving someone who's controlling elicits kind of a panic response in the abuser. The abuser feels threatened. To him, strength is control. And if I don't have control, then maybe everybody will see how weak I am. So I need to shut you up, extinguish you.
When the autopsy results return, it's clear Tiara died a horrible death.
I read the autopsy, and he's the devil. Pure evil. Pure evil.
It was determined that Andre did strangle Tiara.
It takes multiple minutes to strangle someone. And during that entire time, you're looking at them in the face. You're watching the life leave their body. It's a very personal thing. He was definitely in a rage.
For Buffalo police, it's urgent to find this very dangerous man.
But police are still struggling to pin him down.
We had information that Andre may have left the state.
Desperate to find Andre, Buffalo investigators request outside help.
Buffalo police have no jurisdiction outside of New York State. So we enlist the help of marshals who have jurisdiction all over the U.S. So we brought them in, let them know what we have, gave them Andre's information, and from there they were able to help us search for him.
The family is grateful to see police finally making a more focused effort in Tiara's case.
Once they found her body, I do kind of feel like they were taking us more serious.
Nonetheless, Tiara's family remains deeply involved in the hunt to find him.
They wanted answers and started asking questions, and they were hearing that he's in the neighborhood, that he's driving around.
We found out that he was coming back and forth in Buffalo.
I was on the phone with the detectives and the marshals every day, giving them information.
But even with these new leads, authorities face serious hurdles in locating the suspect.
They believed the family of Andre Wiggum knew his whereabouts and they were protecting him.
It was frustrating because Tiara's family felt like everyone was protecting this guy. Even that woman that supposedly lived in his house that kicked them out.
They also haven't been able to track him using cell phone data.
It seems Andre was changing out burner phones every so often, making it very difficult to find him.
In the meantime, with Andre still missing, the community remains on edge.
People are on alert, there's prayer, there's looking out for each other because we got to make sure we're all safe.
When someone is on the run and they've committed murder, they don't really have much else to lose. So if you do cross the wrong paths with them, I think it's valid to have some fear of what might happen.
More than a year goes by, and it seems Andre may never be found. But finally, he slips up.
Although he was smart about switching phones, there was an app he consistently used that the U.S. Marshals were able to trace.
After homing in on a Buffalo address, investigators stage a raid.
But when police enter the home, he's nowhere to be found. Andre escapes once again.
Roughly a year after Tiara Lott's murder, U.S. Marshals and Buffalo police believe they finally located their suspect, Andre Wiggum.
They had a house where he was hiding at.
But inside, there's no sign of him.
Police believe that he got wind that they were coming.
The near miss is a blow to the investigation and to the family.
Every day that you was out there getting away with something, you think you got one up and whatnot. It's like, that's not fair.
I did wish that on him. I felt as if I didn't want him to be found alive. You don't supposed to wish death on anybody, but this one time, because he took somebody so special from us.
But then, in May of 2022, Andre shocks everyone by turning himself in.
I think they had nowhere else to hide.
At this point, everyone knew he was wanted, and no one was willing to hide him anymore.
Knowing Andre is finally behind bars is a relief for Tiara's family.
I am very, very happy that they did catch him.
I just wanted him to not be out here no more.
His arrest is also a hard-won victory for her loved ones who never gave up.
There is a sense of relief, a sense of accomplishments that we did it. Our efforts weren't in vain.
You have to advocate for yourself.
Fight for your child, never give up. People turn their backs, close doors, keep banging, keep your foot on the ground, and keep going. But if I just would have laid there, wait for phone calls, this would have never got solved.
As the case moves to trial, Andre's lawyer contacts the DA's office about a possible plea.
Prosecutors were open to reducing the charges from second-degree murder to first-degree manslaughter.
Trials like this, lawyers can be brutal in defending their client. Things that they can say in a courtroom to kind of throw doubt.
Although Tiara's family isn't sure the plea deal is the best option, it would have one advantage.
Maybe it was better if I wouldn't have to hear every single detail.
Sometimes it makes more sense emotionally to accept the plea.
With a deal in place, Andre faces sentencing in June of 2023.
Me and my family, Tiara's family on her dad's side, was there in court.
When given the chance to address the court, Tiara's mother fearlessly faces Andre.
Her words were, "Never in a million years would I think he would be the one to take her life. She really did care about this man. Why did you do this? Why did you have to kill her?"
But Andre chooses to remain silent.
The judge asked him, did he want to speak? He said no.
He showed no remorse. It was no apology. It wasn't nothing.
And when the judge hands down a sentence of 25 years, the family feels like it's a slap in the face.
He shouldn't have got that.
25 is not enough time for what he did to my daughter.
I don't consider it as justice.
Because for those who love Tiara, there will always be a void.
He took away a daughter, a cousin, an aunt, a friend.
One of the kindest people like we have around. Just an amazing person to have in your corner.
Birthdays, holidays, even just meeting up at my mom's house, having family time. It's always gonna be that missing piece that we can never feel, ever. He just snatched that away from us. Makes me angry, because she's supposed to be here.
She definitely deserved to be here.
We always gonna keep her name alive. We gonna be her voice for her.
And her family has hope that Tiara's story will help other women who may be in a similar situation.
Pay attention to the red flags. If a guy is trying to control you, pull you away from your family, that is some type of abuse. And it's just the beginning. Let your family know what you're going through. Don't hide it.
Be more open, letting your loved one know exactly what's going on, keeping them in the loop.
It's harder to share with somebody that you know. There are a lot of different resources that can meet you where you're at. Speaking with a therapist, there are lots of different support groups for women in toxic relationships.
You can call 211. It'll connect you to the local resources.
But, it's not worth your life.
She was a hardworking single mom who followed her dreams.
She was always looking for opportunities to better herself.
She took steps to educate herself, to move up.
She was able to just have a life that she's always imagined for herself.
Until it all came to a sudden end.
She's lying in this pool of blood.
It was a violent death.
She has been brutally beaten.
There was blunt force trauma.
Was it a robbery gone wrong?
Lots of things are missing.
Was she the victim of a jealous lover?
We done had altercations with him for...
They've had a very tumultuous relationship.
What do you want to do?
Or does the answer lie hidden in her past?
You can't keep taking chances.
What are you talking about? It can happen to any of us.
A person hits you, it's time to walk away.
May 12th, 2011. It's Thursday morning in Cobb County, Georgia, a fast-growing community northwest of Atlanta that's home to more than 750,000 people.
Cobb County is the third largest county in the state of Georgia. It's known for just being a serene, suburban-type community. It's a great place to live.
People here like to say that Cobb County is close to Atlanta, but far away from the big city.
You get the best of both worlds.
Although plenty of people end up somewhere in between. At a little after 10 that morning, a Cobb County police cruiser pulls into a trailer park just south of Interstate 20.
People tend to think of a trailer park as something that's low class or have very negative connotations. But here in the South, and especially in a lot of rural areas, the trailer homes are just like one-story ranch-style homes.
The police pull up to the home of 36-year-old DeCarla Lomax.
Her family has not heard from her. They're pretty concerned.
People who loved DeCarla had been trying to reach her to no avail. So they called police to go out to her mobile home for a welfare check.
Walking up to the trailer, the officers don't immediately see any cause for concern.
There was no broken glass, there were no open doors, anything like that that would alarm them.
DeCarla, are you in there? Miss Lomax, are you in there?
When no one answers, the officers track down the property manager to unlock the door.
They go inside, announce themselves. This is police. Anybody here? Still no answer.
The officers look around the sparsely furnished living room.
It's so empty, it looks like no one really lives there.
But that doesn't mean no one's home.
We got a body.
As the officers enter the bedroom, they discover a body of a Black female laying on the floor.
Their face and head is completely covered with a jacket.
But her identity is all it conceals.
The jacket isn't covering up the fact that there's a pool of blood.
DeCarla Lomax had come to Atlanta in 2006 from the small town of Abbeville, South Carolina.
She was a hard worker, somebody who was always striving to better herself.
Moving to Atlanta, it's the land of opportunities, especially for young Black professionals.
However, DeCarla wasn't just looking to better herself. She was building a future for her family.
She was a single mother of 3. By 2011, her 2 older children had already left home, but she was still raising her 16-year-old son.
Being a single mother, raising a 16-year-old son has to be challenging.
Did you finish your homework?
Yes, Mom.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
How much do I involve myself in his life? How do I make sure that he's safe? To keep him on track with his grades. There are so many dynamics that go into raising a teenager.
Once you finish your breakfast, if you want me to give you a ride to school on my way to work, I can do that.
Okay.
And DeCarla was doing it while working full-time as a certified nursing assistant.
It takes a special nature, a special spirit and personality to be in healthcare. That is a person who really does have a compassionate heart.
DeCarla was a caregiver at heart, a nurturer at heart. She dedicated her entire life to helping other people.
DeCarla was also taking college classes to get her degree as a licensed practical nurse.
She was always looking for opportunities to better herself, and there's much more money to be an LPN.
Being able to work and go to school, that is a lot of responsibility, but that says a lot about her work ethic.
Still, for all her success as a nurse and a mother, DeCarla felt something was missing in her life.
It was natural progression to say, hey, I have my things in order. Let's see if I can get me a companion that I can share this with.
She found that companion in Deron Williams.
She found someone who not only she was attracted to, but someone who also loved her son.
Got a really great kid.
Oh, thank you.
It wasn't long before Deron moved in with DeCarla and her son.
Things were moving fast.
They quickly became a happy family.
And by 2011, DeCarla's career was on the fast track too.
DeCarla had recently graduated with her LPN.
Once she got her certificate to be an LPN, the world of opportunities just opened up for her.
DeCarla, Deron, and her teenage son are going to be able to afford a bigger house. They're going to be moving out of the trailer park.
But now police have found a woman lying on the floor of DeCarla's trailer in a pool of blood.
There's no pulse, no response, and it's clear that this person is deceased.
She had what we call impact wounds, blunt force wounds that caused severe damage.
She was hit so hard that her face was almost unrecognizable.
Is the dead woman DeCarla?
When the family requested a welfare check, they provided the police with a description.
She had a very distinct tattoo.
It was on her lower back.
That tattoo matches the tattoo that DeCarla had.
Yep, there it is.
Hardworking single mother DeCarla Lomax had come to Cobb County, Georgia to build a better life for herself and her teenage son.
DeCarla is a small-town girl from South Carolina who moves to the Atlanta, Georgia area for better opportunities.
While working as a nursing assistant, she took classes at a local college. She earned her certification as a licensed practical nurse.
She'd also found love with Deron Williams.
DeCarla found someone that she thought would complement her life.
Things were just looking great for her.
Police department. DeCarla, you in here?
But now police officers performing a welfare check
We got a body.
have found a woman's dead body on DeCarla's bedroom floor.
Go check for that tattoo.
Judging from the tattoo on the lower back, the body appears to be DeCarla's.
It also appears she had been beaten to death.
Go ahead and start major crimes this way, please.
She had massive blunt force trauma to her face and her head.
It's down this hallway.
When homicide detectives arrive on the scene, they search the trailer for a possible murder weapon.
With that type of massive blunt force trauma, it had to be something heavy.
Whatever was used had to be covered in blood.
However, there's no sign of it in the trailer.
They do see some tools laid out on the counter.
But there was nothing heavy enough to inflict the sort of injuries DeCarla suffered.
There's also no evidence of forced entry or any sort of struggle between DeCarla and her killer.
It looks like it might have just been a sudden strike that put DeCarla down.
Why the killer struck is more difficult to determine.
The police are not sure if it was a robbery gone wrong.
The trailer, it was almost empty. There was hardly any furniture in there.
It looked like someone had been there packing and moving.
So it's really hard to determine if anything was actually taken from the property.
However, the detectives have reason to suspect DeCarla knew her killer.
Not only was there no evidence of forced entry, when the first officers who arrived on scene found DeCarla, there was a jacket covering her face and head.
But when someone takes the time to cover up an assault, use an indicator that that person is known to the victim.
Excuse me, sir.
After wrapping things up inside, detectives start interviewing other residents in the trailer park.
Most of the neighbors weren't too familiar with DeCarla. Some would see her come and go, but they didn't get to know her that well.
We're investigating a homicide.
One neighbor does confirm that DeCarla was in the process of moving out.
Yeah, I've seen her around. She's been coming by for the last week or so, loading things up.
That explains why there was so little furniture and other belongings in the trailer.
When was the last time you saw her?
The neighbor says the last time he saw DeCarla was that morning.
That neighbor remembered DeCarla pulling in around 8:30.
She's getting out of her car, went inside.
Huh. Was anyone with her?
I hadn't seen anyone.
However, the neighbor's story leaves detectives with another question.
The car is no longer there at the trailer.
Do you see anyone leave?
No. Next time I looked out was when the police came.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you, sir.
Assuming that the killer made off with DeCarla's car, detectives pay a visit to the trailer park's management office.
They asked the management office if there's any security footage.
As you can see right here, this shows the car coming into the property.
Reviewing the footage, detectives note that DeCarla arrived at the trailer park at 8:45 a.m.
And about 20 minutes later, they saw DeCarla's car coming back out of the trailer park.
And whoever was driving appeared to be in a hurry.
They could not ascertain from the video who exactly was driving, but they knew that it wasn't her.
By then, DeCarla was lying dead inside the trailer.
Okay. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
But if it wasn't DeCarla, who was it? As detectives leave the management office, they're approached by another of DeCarla's neighbors.
Excuse me.
Are you the ones asking about DeCarla?
Yes, ma'am.
The neighbor tells detectives that she's seen two different men at the trailer with DeCarla recently.
Well, she had a boyfriend that lived with her.
Do you know his name?
Duran Williams.
She would often see DeCarla with Duran around the trailer. But she did mention that she had seen DeCarla with another man.
The neighbor says the man's name is Raymond Harvey.
She also tells the police that she often saw DeCarla arguing with this man.
And so with this new information, police are thinking, is he possibly the killer?
Detectives investigating the murder of DeCarla Lomax have just learned that the 36-year-old nurse had recently been seen with a man named Raymond Harvey.
Raymond has also been reported by neighbors to have been arguing with DeCarla around the property multiple times.
Officers are now thinking that one of these arguments turned violent.
Based on the crime scene, detectives already suspect the killer was no stranger.
The fact that her body was covered with that jacket is an indication that this person was known to DeCarla.
But who exactly is Raymond?
Protocol is always to run a background check.
He does have some criminal history. He had been arrested for fraud charges.
But there's nothing in his past to suggest he's capable of such a brutal murder.
He doesn't have any violent crimes on his record.
But they still want to talk to Raymond to get the nature of that relationship.
Detectives bring Raymond in for questioning and tell him exactly why he's there.
We found an adult black female deceased with obvious injuries.
He's listening to the officers. Very matter of fact.
He was non-emotional.
We have positively identified that person as Dakarla.
Is he just nonchalant? Or is he trying to play it cool because he already knows that she's dead?
When detectives ask how he knows Dakarla, Raymond says that he's her boyfriend.
He said that she had recently broken things off with her previous boyfriend, Deron Williams.
He also tells detectives that there was some overlap between his relationship and Dakarla's relationship with Deron.
And how did y'all meet? She came to South Carolina on a business. She came to one of her cousin's house. So I was in her cousin's house.
When he saw her, he told the cousin immediately, hey, who's that? I like her. Can you hook me up?
Raymond says that's when he and Dakarla had begun a long-distance relationship. But she continued to see Deron, too.
When things were great with Deron, he would stay with her. And then when they weren't so great, she would call Raymond.
But he says that Dakarla eventually said she was tired of the back and forth.
She had told me on the phone, she said, look, she don't do a long-distance relationship, so I don't really want to be with her, and I'm to Atlanta.
Raymond says he'd moved to Atlanta to stay with Dakarla.
And this time, Dakarla told him that she and Deron had broken up for good.
But according to Raymond, Deron wasn't entirely out of the picture.
Fell off, because, cheating incident, I moved back home.
Cheating with him?
Yeah, she was cheating with him.
Not that Raymond was entirely innocent either.
I was doing my thing, too.
Dakarla wasn't his only love interest.
But he and Dakarla had eventually drifted back together.
Only when he moved back into Dakarla's trailer, things got even more complicated.
Deron was actually there now, staying at the trailer.
Dakarla says that she's just helping him out.
He had gave them her address for his probation.
Raymond says he wasn't crazy about the arrangement, but Dakarla had told him not to worry.
She said he's not going to do nothing to say nothing to you because he knows he's on probation. He knows he's in trouble. He's gone for a while.
Still, Raymond said he didn't like having Deron around.
In fact, he says Deron is likely responsible for Dakarla's death.
Even before me, they were arguing and fighting. It was real violent.
He tells the police about how Deron had beaten her several times before, and one of those beatings actually landed her in the hospital.
I wasn't cut, physically, like punched her in the face or something, swole up.
Raymond says he'd grown so fed up with the situation that he'd given Dakarla an ultimatum.
He says it's either him or me.
Yeah, look, Dakarla, you finna have to choose. I don't see. Really, I'm done, bro.
Wait, please don't go, please. I choose you. I want you.
Really?
Yes, I want you.
Dakarla says, I want you, Raymond. I want you.
So Raymond and Dakarla decided to get their own place.
We had to move the majority of our things to the new residence.
Which explains why the trailer was so empty.
Raymond says that Deron had also moved out.
His mama, got him, several places to stay.
But did that mean he was entirely out of the picture this time?
Dakarla would often go back to the mobile home to pick up a few things.
There were nights where Dakarla stayed overnight just from packing late.
At least that's what she'd told Raymond.
The detectives asked Raymond if Dakarla might have still been seeing Deron.
Might have been up there, I don't know.
Raymond said they had had a conversation about this very fact.
But it's what he says next that makes detectives suspicious of Raymond.
She said that he never did come, but you know how to lie.
Detectives investigating the murder of 36-year-old DeCarla Lomax are questioning her new boyfriend, Raymond Harvey.
Raymond's responses during the interview were making detectives more than a little suspicious.
He was nonchalant about the whole situation.
But there is one thing Raymond says that really sticks out to detectives.
They asked Raymond if he thought DeCarla was still hooking up with her ex, Duran, behind his back.
That's when Raymond tells detectives, I don't know, but you know, all women lie.
That says a lot about his trust of DeCarla and his overall thought process of how women are in general. So that is a major red flag to detectives.
Had he followed DeCarla to the trailer, hoping to catch them in the act?
Possibly that's the motive. That there was jealousy going on, there was a heated argument that turned violent.
Probing for his whereabouts around the time of the murder, detectives ask when he last saw DeCarla.
Raymond told detectives that DeCarla had left early in the morning.
She was supposed to take her son to school and then go by the mobile home to pick up a few things.
She's gonna be over there getting things situated for a while.
But when they ask if he'd gone to the trailer that morning, he says no.
Raymond's alibi is that he walked DeCarla's sister's kids to school that morning because they were staying with him at the time.
It's been right back about place town.
Raymond told detectives he had texted her and called her and received no response.
He was wondering where she was.
It was at this point where Raymond began to demonstrate some behavior not consistent with his earlier attitude when officers told him that she was deceased.
At first, he was flat, he was robotic, and at the end of questioning, he became really emotional. He starts breaking down. He's like, I told her, but she didn't listen. Detectives didn't know what to make of that.
Is the reality that DeCarla is dead finally sinking in?
Or is it the beginnings of a confession?
He could be getting emotional because he's feeling guilty.
I'm gonna need your phone to check your call logs, please.
At the end of the interview, detectives ask to see Raymond's phone.
His statements in his call log was consistent. He had made several attempts to reach out and call her.
To investigate Raymond's claims further, detectives subpoena his phone records.
Since he made several texts and calls, there should be cell tower data that confirms exactly where he was.
Then, while waiting to hear back from Raymond's cell phone provider,
you can have a seat here.
Detectives talk to DeCarla's 16-year-old son.
They reached out to DeCarla's brother, who picked him up from school, and asked him to bring the teenager into the station.
Thank you.
When he sits down with detectives, DeCarla's son confirms that his mother did drive him to school that morning.
And he tells them that he slept most of the way to school, but she did, in fact, drop him off at school.
His story was consistent with Raymond.
However, he does mention something that Raymond didn't know.
He remembers his mother saying on the ride to school that she was going to meet up with Duran a little bit later.
She said Duran needed a ride to the probation office.
Okay, all right.
He had a meeting that morning with his parole officer.
Considering how Raymond felt about Duran, it's no surprise that DeCarla did not tell him that she was meeting with Duran.
Sir, can you come in, please? I'm gonna ask your uncle some questions. You can sit.
She also neglected to mention it to her brother.
You can have a seat, please.
Since DeCarla's brother was already at the station, detectives interviewed him too.
Did she tell you anything about meeting up with him this morning?
DeCarla's brother is really surprised that DeCarla went to go see Duran without him.
Well, if she knows she won't be around him, she usually brings me along with her because we already know how he is.
According to DeCarla's brother, how Duran is dangerous.
He tells the police that DeCarla and Duran had a very violent history, and they had made an agreement that anytime DeCarla was going to interact with Duran, that her brother needed to be there as well.
He says they'd made the agreement after Duran put DeCarla in the hospital.
Raymond had previously told detectives about Duran putting DeCarla in the hospital, but he hadn't known of any details.
However, her brother does.
DeCarla's brother actually witnessed the aftermath.
I took her to the emergency room, and after she had told me what happened.
What Duran had done sounded awfully familiar to the detectives.
Duran actually hit her in the head with a hammer.
DeCarla Lomax's brother has revealed to the detectives investigating her murder that the 36-year-old nurse had previously been the victim of a similar attack at the hands of her ex-boyfriend, Duran Williams.
He tells the police that the incident that landed DeCarla in the hospital was due to Duran hitting her in the head with a hammer.
When was that? This was back in 2009 or 2008.
He didn't see her get hit with the hammer, but he came home, saw his sister in her room crying.
What the hell? DeCarla, what's going on?
And saw Duran sitting across from her.
He was sitting in a chair trying to, apologize and talk to her or something.
DeCarla's brother says he didn't know exactly what Duran had done until later, after he drove his sister to the emergency room.
She told me that she had came in there fussing with her, yelling and cussing, running back and forth.
Where you was at last night?
What are you talking about?
How you gonna go out with Raymond if we doing what we doing?
So he left out the room the second time. And when he came back in the room running at him. Hit her on the head with the hammer.
Her brother suspects that maybe something similar happened in this instance as well.
Her being hit in the head with a hammer in previous offenses makes him think Duran could be the one who did the same thing twice.
Thank you for your time. I'll see you out.
After talking with DeCarla's brother, detectives pulled Duran's criminal history and confirmed that he'd been charged for the attack that put DeCarla in the hospital.
They find that he's actually on probation for the assault charge.
He did plead guilty to assaulting her with a hammer.
Despite that, DeCarla hadn't made a clean break with Duran.
She let him stay at the trailer while he was on probation for the assault that put her in the hospital.
I can imagine him saying, well, if you wouldn't have made me so mad, then I wouldn't have caught this charge. And so she's feeling guilty.
Based on what detectives have learned, Duran becomes the focus of the investigation.
Police contact his parole officer in an effort to locate him.
The parole officer confirmed what DeCarla's son told them, that he was supposed to meet with Duran on the morning of the murder.
But Duran had missed the meeting.
The probation office also tells detectives that it is DeCarla who usually brings him there.
Between the parole officer, DeCarla's son, and her brother, the detectives are able to give DeCarla's parents a better picture of what happened when they arrive at the station later that day.
They have driven all the way to Cobb County upon hearing the news.
Apparently she still had some association with Duran. Something about he was supposed to go to a probation office this morning that DeCarla was going to take. We don't know what the reason is behind it, other than there was an argument probably. But I know that it was a violent death.
Her parents, of course, were devastated, but they weren't really surprised. They had warned her on numerous occasions.
Anytime a person hits you, it's time to walk away.
But love doesn't work that way. Sometimes people stay. They stay too long.
And now there was only one thing left to do.
We're gonna work and work and work and work and try to bring some justice to it.
We're so sorry for your loss. Thank you for coming in. I'll see you all out.
For the investigators, the path to justice starts with locating Deron Williams.
They put out an all-points bulletin for him to be located.
Detectives also issue a be-on-the-lookout alert for DeCarla's car.
Based on surveillance video from the trailer park, detectives determined that Deron fled in DeCarla's car.
The Bolo quickly gets results.
Atlanta PD contacts the detectives to let them know that they've located DeCarla's car.
It had been abandoned. The wheels were stolen and there was no sign of Deron.
There was no indication a crime had occurred in the vehicle. They had no murder weapon.
Their best chance of locating Deron turns out to be a bust.
Detectives are preparing for a manhunt because they don't know where Deron is.
However, the search for Deron will soon be cut short.
Homicide.
Then out of the blue, they hear from Deron's sister.
Deron's sister tells the investigators that she's heard something very disturbing.
I got a call from my mother. It was hysterical.
According to the sister, she had very good reasons to be.
She said that my brother had accidentally killed his girlfriend.
Deron Williams' sister has reached out to detectives investigating DeCarla Lomax's murder with some crucial information.
She says that Deron called their mother to tell their mother that he thinks he killed his girlfriend.
So I called his cell phone and he answered the phone. He was crying. He was hysterical. He says, I accidentally killed her. I killed her.
He tells her that he did kill DeCarla, but he doesn't know what happened.
They had a very tumultuous relationship.
His sister claims that they've been calling police on each other for years.
He's gone to jail before for, I guess domestic violence with her. It's just been a complete mess.
And then, according to Deron's sister, he was holed up in an Atlanta hotel trying to figure out what to do.
The sister feels that it's best to contact the police.
Deron's sister was able to provide the location of the hotel where Deron was staying.
Thank you.
As soon as detectives are off the phone with Deron's sister, law enforcement descends on the hotel.
Thankfully, Deron surrenders without further incident.
Then, once he's back at the station, detectives sit him down for questioning.
When they let him know that he was under arrest for murdering DeCarla, he became quite emotional.
We identified positively DeCarla Lomax as being deceased. I know, son. I know.
He's distraught, and they're having a hard time calming him down.
You all right?
That display of emotion led detectives to believe that he was feeling guilty and would cooperate.
This is your opportunity to provide us with your side of what happened.
But Deron is unable to give them a straight answer.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Detectives want to know why then he caught his mom crying.
If I remember right, what you told her was that you thought you accidentally killed your girlfriend.
That's when Deron decides to lawyer up.
My mom's told me not to talk to nobody.
Well, I understand why your mama would say that. And we've been through your rights. If you don't want to talk to me, then that's your right.
She just told me to do it with my lawyer.
So the police have to shut that interview down.
But detectives won't need a confession to charge Deron with murder.
They want to triangulate where that cell phone was.
His phone records show that Deron was in the vicinity of the trailer park the morning of the murder, right around the time of 8:45.
When Duran goes on trial on November 5th, 2012, the prosecutors say there's a simple explanation for why his phone was pinging off a tower near the trailer.
Prosecutors told the jury that DeCarlo picked up Duran that morning to take him to his probation meeting, but they made a stop at the mobile home.
They stopped off at the trailer, and at some point, an argument ensued.
The prosecutors weren't sure exactly what the argument was about.
They only know what happened next.
He lost it. He lost his cool.
He picked up the hammer and murdered DeCarla.
Because unlike the previous attack, he hit her more than once.
This definitely was a fit of rage from Duran.
It wasn't until after multiple blows from the hammer that Duran realized DeCarlo was dead.
I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
After the murder, he covered her face with a jacket.
Then he got into Carla's car and drove away, taking the hammer with him.
Somewhere, he ditched that hammer.
It was never found.
When it's the defense's turn, Duran decides it's finally time to tell his side of the story.
Duran takes the stand, which is something you hardly ever see murder defendants do.
In his testimony, he doesn't deny much of what the prosecutors claim.
He tells the jury that DeCarlo did, in fact, pick him up to take him to his probation meeting.
They stopped at the trailer to do some last-minute packing, and in the process, they got into an argument.
But Duran claims that DeCarlo started it.
Duran said the argument started because DeCarlo accused him of texting another woman.
Who is she?
Don't worry about it.
Duran says he tried to explain, but DeCarlo wouldn't listen.
He states that she actually came at him.
Just stop.
Who is she?
It's nobody.
He picked up the hammer to swing at her just to get her off of him.
Who is she?
It's nobody.
He was defending himself.
That's what Duran claims, but the jury sees it differently.
The jury sides with the prosecution and they find Duran guilty.
He was sentenced to life with no possibility of parole.
To those who love DeCarlo, the punishment is tragically too late.
The initial 2008 charge where he had hit her with a hammer, he received no jail time. He was on probation for that assault when he killed her.
If Duran had been behind bars, DeCarlo would still be alive.
Having DeCarlo taken away from this world in such a violent way was a huge loss. She was caring. She committed her life to taking care of others.
She was on the verge of having the family she always wanted.
They was planning on getting married.
When I got the invitation, I told them congratulations.
She was happy. You could tell that she was excited.
Until a horrific crime destroyed everything.
Smoke was coming from the apartment. Gas was distributed throughout that house.
I don't wish this on nobody, not even my worst enemy.
The police have no shortage of suspects.
We just had disagreements. Our relationship, it was a love-hate. And we got to it.
But only one of them is a monster.
We have a video of you.
We just didn't see anything like this happening.
He wanted her in his life.
He didn't want her with anyone else.
So for him, it was like an all or nothing.
July 9th, 2019. It's Tuesday morning in Cleveland's Slavic Village neighborhood.
Slavic Village is an area of Cleveland that was home to a lot of immigrants.
It was called Slavic Village because a lot of Eastern Europeans migrated to that area of the city.
There's still a lot of history there, but over the years, you have seen a lot of change in the dynamics and the group of people that live there.
Slavic Village is recovering from the industrial downturn, so it's on the upturn. They're trying to bring it back.
But there are still plenty of challenges.
Cleveland, it has its crime sprees, and Slavic Village is no different.
And this morning, a woman walking near her Slavic Village apartment stumbles upon a crime that has hit close to home.
Oh my God! She found a man's body lying in a vacant lot covered in blood.
He was shot once in the head and once in the chest. Just another Cleveland homicide.
But for the woman who finds the body, the dead man is more than a statistic.
She knew the victim.
That neighborhood still has that we take care of our own type of feeling. Neighbors look out for one another.
His name is David Cousin Jr.
He had a great reputation in the community.
David's neighbor calls 911. And when the police arrive, they confirm that he's dead.
They also asked the neighbor exactly where David lived.
They go to knock on doors and see if there are witnesses.
But as the neighbor and officers approach David's house, they notice something else.
The smoke appeared to be coming from the unit where Takira Collins lived with her 2 children.
They look through those windows. There's a lot of smoke.
It looked like there had been a fire inside.
It burned itself out.
However, the fire is still a tragedy.
Hey, I see kids in there.
Life had never been easy for 25-year-old Takira Collins.
Our father, he passed when she was 1 going on 2.
You could tell it was hard on her. It affected her a lot.
In the aftermath, Takira's mother struggled to make ends meet.
Growing up in poverty, it just made things very difficult. Childhood for us was stressful.
As a result, the siblings stuck together.
She wanted us to be inseparable. She always wanted to be there for me. I always wanted to be there for her. And the older we got, the stronger we got.
But as important as their bond was, Takira longed for more.
She did want family just because she didn't have her father growing up.
By 18, she'd found what she was looking for with Armand Johnson, a young man that lived in her neighborhood.
Being from the same neighborhood and being around things and seeing things and being through things together, that made their bond, strong and tight.
The couple fell in love, and in 2012, Takira gave birth to a baby boy.
He is beautiful.
He looks like you.
You think so?
Well, he is Armand Johnson Jr.
I know she was happy.
Once her son was born, Takira devoted herself to raising the child.
Her whole mindset changed. She just wanted to do better and be better. She was just focused. She was being a mom.
But while Takira was home with their child, Armand was out in the streets.
He ended up going to jail.
He was sent away for 5 years on robbery charges.
While Armand was in prison, Takira remained focused on raising their child.
Takira Collins was a dedicated mom, and she was a hard worker. She worked multiple jobs.
She also met someone new, a man named Anthony Stevens.
Hey, I saw you sitting here and I just had to come over and meet you.
I'm glad you did.
When Takira met Anthony, she was happy, head over heels.
That first meeting quickly blossomed into a romance.
They going out, dates, and they kicking it and spending time together.
Pretty soon, they welcomed their own bundle of joy into the world, Aubrey.
She was so happy that she had a girl. Like, finally, I got a mini-me.
But Takira's relationship with Anthony didn't last either.
I turned sour, but they was together for, I'd say, about a year.
She said he became overprotective and was giving her crazy vibes, so she ended things with him.
She was a strong, independent woman.
But she still longed for her kids to have a father figure in their lives.
She ended things with Anthony, and I believe that's when the feelings for Armand started to come back.
She wanted her son's father in his life.
Her son, you know, he older now. He asking about where my dad at. Can I talk to my dad?
Takira reached out, and Armand reconnected with his son and Takira.
He was able to give her the attention she needed, explain to her how things was going to be when he came home.
He told me like, oh, we worked it out.
They got engaged, and they wanted to move forward as a family.
And when Armand finally came home, they did become a family.
Aubrey obviously was a product of a different relationship, but this little girl became his own.
Armand also doted over his little boy.
Good job, man. Yeah.
I could see that he loved his dad.
And Takira was glad to have a family again.
I said, you happy? I'm happy. That's all that matters.
Things was looking good.
But now, officers responding to a shooting have spotted smoke coming from Takira's apartment.
They went to investigate and made a horrifying discovery.
Hey, I see kids in there.
They saw the two children in the house.
They were lying motionless on the floor. Ready?
The first responders make a forced entry, but they're too late.
Both of the children were dead from smoke inhalation.
You had a tremendous amount of smoke, which is what caused the kids to die.
But the children aren't the only victims. Moving deeper into the apartment, the officers make another grim discovery.
Police discovered Takira's body.
Unlike her children, Takira didn't die in the fire.
Takira had been shot 10 times.
Takira Collins was making a fresh start with her ex, Armand Johnson.
Armand had just finished serving 5 years in prison.
Her and Armand was back together, and things was looking good.
But now, police have found Takira and her 2 children dead inside her apartment.
Takira had been shot 10 times.
A lot of those injuries were from the back. I believe she was running to her bedroom, trying to get away.
Then the killer had apparently tried to set fire to the apartment, hoping to hide the evidence.
Since the children didn't have any visible injuries, police believe they died from smoke inhalation.
One of the huge factors in this case is the fact that this house was newly renovated and had brand new windows. There were no gaps in these windows. That was crucial because when this house was set aflame, the fire didn't get any oxygen in order for this whole structure to come down. So that's why we are not looking at a pile of rubble.
When homicide detectives arrive, they find clear evidence that the fire had been deliberately set.
There was a gas can left in her bedroom.
Detectives also recover multiple 9mm shell casings, as well as Takira's phone.
Takira's phone is laying on the sofa in the living room.
There were no indications of a robbery or any signs of forced entry.
Adding that to the number of wounds Takira suffered leads detectives to one conclusion.
This was a crime of passion.
Shooting Takira that many times was definitely personal.
10 shots is overkill.
The detectives suspect the children slept through the shooting.
But Takira's daughter woke sometime after the fire had been set.
Aubrey got up from her bed. We know that because she had soot in the bottom of her feet. And when you look at the walls in the house, you see her handprints walking down to her brother's room.
Police found the 2 children clinging to one another inside her brother's bedroom.
It's heartbreaking.
But did their deaths have anything to do with the murder of their neighbor, David Cousin Jr.?
After looking over the apartment where Takira and her children died, detectives went to the vacant lot nearby where the neighbor found David.
They would have been looking for shell casings and looking to see if these things were connected.
In the grass, detectives recover one more 9mm shell casing.
It was a match to the ones found in Takira's bedroom, which made detectives believe they were looking for the same shooter in both murders.
While the detectives work, onlookers start to gather outside the crime scene tape.
This had a lot of attention. There were family members showing up. Everyone from the neighborhood is out. It's a chaotic scene at this point.
The neighborhood was on edge to see 2 babies and a mother killed.
Neighbors are just as dismayed by David's murder.
People that lived in Slavic Village in that neighborhood were shocked because who would do something to David?
In his community, he was a very well-respected individual.
But other than being neighbors, there was no real connection between David and Takira.
It was just a high-by situation. This my neighbor. It was nothing like no relationship or none of that. He had a girlfriend. He was about to get married.
Hoping to learn more about Takira, detectives turn to her family who have started to gather after hearing the horrific news.
Can I see my baby?
Hey, we're so sorry for your loss.
When I get home, missed calls. It was coming from our uncle. So I called him. I asked him what's going on. And then he told me, like, your sister's, she's gone. The first thing that came to my mind was, okay, well, what about the kids? Where are the kids?
Her family had just the profound sense of loss when, you didn't just lose one family member. You lost 3 and you lost babies.
But the family also says they know who did it.
Family members thought that only one person was responsible.
It had to be Anthony.
And her mother says she has proof.
She sent me a text last night about her youngest father.
Takira's mother received a text from her saying that Anthony was over the house.
And according to Takira's text, Anthony had a gun.
Cleveland detectives have reason to believe Takira Collins' ex-boyfriend, Anthony Stevens, may be responsible for the shooting and arson that killed Takira, her 2 children, and their neighbor, David Cousin Jr.
Takira's mother said she received a late-night text from her daughter that said Anthony had come by the apartment.
He had a gun, and she felt threatened.
Did you tell her to call the police?
I didn't see it until this morning.
Takira's mother said she tried to call Takira as soon as she saw the text.
She didn't answer, so I came straight over.
Do you think he killed her?
It had to be Anthony.
She said if something was to ever happen to her, Arby's father did it.
Takira's mother tells the detectives that Anthony and Takira were having issues over the custody of their daughter.
She was keeping Arby from him because he just got crazier to the point where it scared her.
While detectives are talking to the family, Armand Johnson, the father of Takira's oldest child, arrives at the scene.
Where's Takira? Takira! Where's Takira?
Detectives pulled Armand aside and broke the news that Takira and the kids were dead.
Oh, no!
He said he received a late-night text, just like Takira's mother, that said Anthony had come over and he was threatening her.
No! I got a text message saying...
And also like Takira's mother, he says he hadn't seen the text until it was too late.
He was devastated with what happened.
And the detectives were afraid he would do something rash.
Where is he?
Sir,
no, where's Anthony? I need to see him.
To keep Armand from interfering with the investigation, the detectives take him into custody.
He had an outstanding warrant for some other probation violation.
Once Armand's in custody, the detectives take him down to the station for a formal statement.
He eagerly wants to help.
Although since he was under arrest, the detectives kept him cuffed.
Right now, you're under arrest for a warrant that you have.
The detectives begin by asking Armand about his relationship with Takira.
He explained that he'd moved in with Takira after he'd gotten out of prison.
However, Armand also says he'd moved out a couple of weeks before the murders.
Why did you leave?
Because we just had disagreements. So how has your relationship been with her recently? Do you guys talk?
Yeah, we talk. She still let me come see my kids.
In fact, Armand had said that he took both of the children to a family reunion in Detroit that weekend.
When was the last time you seen them, those two children?
Sunday when I dropped them off.
He says he didn't have any contact with Takira or the kids after that.
Then when I woke up this morning, I received a text from yesterday.
Armand said the text was about Anthony coming to the apartment and threatening her.
She never said to you what this was all about?
No.
Or why that there was such a problem between them?
No.
Finally, while he's not a suspect, the detectives wrap up the interview by asking Armand where he was the night of the murders.
He said he was home asleep.
I fell asleep right about 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Who can verify that you were home at 9:30 sleeping?
My grandmother, my aunt, my father.
They were all there?
Yes.
He has an alibi. It's not him.
But would Takira's other ex be able to say the same?
Anthony came forward and turned himself in to be questioned.
You're not under arrest. Let me make that clear. We read these to everybody because it's a criminal investigation.
After reading Anthony his rights, the detectives ask about his relationship with Takira.
It was shaky. She crazy.
When you say she's crazy, like, what do you mean by that?
It was just a point in time in my life where I wanted to have my cake and eat it too, and she wasn't with it.
Meaning you want to see other women?
Yeah.
And according to Anthony, he hadn't even seen Takira in more than a year.
When was the last time you actually spoken with Takira?
I would have to say since my daughter was months old, literally.
He was a non-factor in her life, a non-factor in his daughter's life, sadly.
Although he said that was primarily Takira's fault.
I've never reached out to her because every time I even tried to talk to her, it's an argument. It's gonna be something that I don't want it to blow up into.
So in other words, Anthony had just confirmed the custody issues that Takira's family had told the detectives about.
But does that mean they were right to suspect Anthony was her killer?
At this point, detectives confronted him with the text messages that Armand and Takira's mother received.
Anthony reads the message and denies it's true.
He maintained that he had not seen Takira and he was nowhere near her house the night before. He said that somebody was setting him up.
Who would want to jam you up in a quadruple homicide?
I have no idea. I want to find out my damn self.
Anthony also claims to have an alibi.
Mondays, I work 5 to close.
Anthony had a job making sandwiches at the time these offenses happened.
Hey, take a look at this.
When police follow up on Anthony's alibi, his story checks out.
So just found the sub shop.
They were able to prove that Anthony was at work. There was surveillance footage. They even saw his time card.
And the texts to Takira's mother and Armand?
It's a big red herring, thrown out by the real killer.
But who? Desperate for leads, the detectives run a record search on Takira.
When you look at a victim in a case, their history can guide you to some extent as to who the perpetrator of this crime is.
When detectives look into Takira's history, they find an immediate red flag.
She had taken out an order of protection against another ex-boyfriend.
His name is Darius Murphy.
According to the protective order, Darius had been abusive.
She was beaten, she was also bitten.
Well, because violent things happen between you two. That's why.
Detectives investigating the murders of Takira Collins, her 2 children, and her neighbor David Cousin Jr. have just learned about an order of protection she took out against an ex-boyfriend named Darius Murphy.
In the request for the order, Takira accused Darius of abusing her.
Is there a possible connection?
Okay, take a seat there for me.
Hoping to find out, the detectives bring Darius in for an interview.
That's a wild question.
Well, because you were a previous boyfriend with her who had a protection order issued against you, and violent things happen between you two. That's why.
Darius admits he had a relationship with Takira, but he says it was brief.
Sounds like August or something.
2018.
Yeah, last year.
That was after Takira broke up with the father of her daughter, Anthony, but while her boyfriend, Armand, was still in jail.
She said it might be a relationship because she was already engaged with Armand.
She told you this relationship between you and I can't go on after he gets out.
You guys don't stop.
Darius claimed that he was okay with their arrangement, but the detectives aren't so sure.
Was this an if I can't have you, no one can type of situation?
You have someone who is engaged in a crime of passion, it's jealousy, anger.
Plus, Takira claimed he'd been violent with her before.
You ever assault her? Okay. I understand.
Yeah,
people put this fight all the time, argue, but physically is what I'm asking you.
I probably bit her or something, but I never know.
She alleges you bit her on the back.
Yeah, I do that, but I never.
Okay.
Beat her.
Of course, he'd also denied he had anything to do with Takira's murder.
So let me ask you, and I gotta ask you this. This is important. Did you go over to East 63rd Street and have a confrontation with Takira and shoot and kill her?
I never did.
Instead, Darius insists the detectives should be looking at Takira's other ex, Armand Johnson.
He said Armand was abusive, according to what Takira had supposedly told him.
She said he used to beat her black and blue, and now he used to put his hands on her in front of the kids.
A lot of times people assume having children makes a relationship better, but having children can also make a relationship an unhealthy environment because a lot of people don't want the responsibility of caring for children. And that happens with a lot of men, that they're just not ready to do that whole commitment piece.
However, Darius doesn't know if the abuse continued once Armand got out of jail.
He said he last talked to her a couple of months before the murders.
Okay. And Armand had already been out of jail.
He was out of jail now, he was talking about them, and she told me how they were doing.
According to Darius, Takira said things were going okay between her and Armand.
She didn't say nothing bad at that time.
She said she was still engaged to him?
At that time, yeah.
Could there be something to Darius's claims about an abusive relationship?
Takira had broken off the engagement.
Or was Darius simply trying to throw detectives off his trail?
Despite Darius's claims about Armand, the detectives pressed him for an alibi.
He's going to corroborate your times for Monday, July 8th through July 9th.
Curiously, Darius hesitates.
I don't want to be putting people in this.
Well, you're going to have to, because right now you're in the middle of this.
Yeah.
To the detectives, it sounded like Darius was hiding something.
Hoping to find out what that might be, the detectives head back to the crime scene.
They canvassed the neighborhood, looking for surveillance cameras that could place Darius in the vicinity the night of the murders.
Police start to focus in on a McDonald's that's very close to Takira's house.
In fact, when detectives review the footage, the surveillance cameras outside the restaurant recorded Takira taking her kids through the drive-thru just hours before the murders.
You may want to check this out.
It's our last known footage, our last time we see Takira and these kids alive.
But what was interesting to detectives was what the cameras recorded a few hours later.
A man runs across the parking lot from the direction of Takira's house and gets in a waiting car.
Could this be the killer making his getaway?
Not too many people go to McDonald's and get picked up.
From the footage, it's tough to make out the man's identity.
The cameras, they're not clear enough.
However, the cameras did offer detectives a good look at the man's shoes.
We could see the design on these shoes and how specific these shoes were.
But who was the man wearing those shoes? It isn't long before the detectives get a call from someone who claims to know.
I called downtown. Hey, I got some information on this case.
Listen.
I know exactly who it is.
Takira Collins, her 2 children, and her neighbor David Cousin Jr. have just received an urgent phone call from Takira's friend, Kayla Hodges.
I knew exactly who did it. It was no doubt in my mind.
According to Kayla, the killer was Armand Johnson, the father of Takira's oldest child.
Armand, I knew for a fact, but it just was like, damn, why you do the kids?
When Kayla comes in to sit down with the detectives, she says she always knew there was trouble in the relationship.
I could see that she wasn't happy. Like, yeah, you there, you being a father, but you not there.
She told you this?
No, not at first.
She'd tell me some stuff, but she ain't telling us everything.
Kayla says Takira also kept her family in the dark.
It's a dirty secret. And because it is cyclical, you don't want to tell someone what happened with your abuser because in a week, in a month, in a few days, things are going to be good. And you don't want them to alienate that person from your life.
But according to Kayla, the trouble between Armand and Takira got so bad that she couldn't hide it from everyone.
I got a call. I'm in the hospital. I got stitches. Got some stitches for what? Oh, Armand got mad and hit me in my lip.
Kayla says it was only then that Takira revealed the truth about Armand.
The relationship was just really, really toxic.
He wouldn't stop putting his hands on her. He was basically insecure about any relationship with any males that he thought was more than a friendship.
The perpetrator in the domestic violence feels a lack of control, but does not feel that they have done anything wrong.
And unfortunately, a lot of women don't think that they can get out of an abusive situation.
Which is why, according to Kayla, Takira was secretly relieved when Armand went to prison.
It's like, when he went away, she don't have to deal with that no more.
But Kayla says that Takira's resolve weakened while Armand was away.
You start feeling bad for somebody, get the text and writing letters. He incarcerated. That's your child's father. Because I wouldn't say I wouldn't do the same thing. I probably would have.
Over a time period, a person begins to start minimizing the negative of the relationship to the point where they're like, it wasn't that bad with this person.
And when Armand got out of prison, the couple reconciled.
He's sorry, he apologized.
But he hadn't changed at all.
You started abusing her again.
Yeah.
He's supposed to busted up her lip pretty bad, gave her a black eye. But unfortunately, they kept me out of the loop. They didn't want me to do anything to Armand.
However, while Takira didn't tell her brother about the abuse, she did break off her engagement with Armand.
She was no longer going to put up with his behavior. She didn't want her kids around it.
When she was finally done and walking away, I could see a change. Like, she was happy. You could tell that she was excited for the new adventure.
That's extremely important and relevant in a case like this.
So you think Armand did this?
Oh, I'm sure of it.
The picture Kayla paints sounds plausible to detectives.
For him, it was like an all or nothing. He wanted her in his life. And what is scary about domestic violence relationships is that the most dangerous time is when you decide to leave. And we can make and pass laws, but at the end of the day, those things are just words on a piece of paper. And that's not going to protect anyone against 10 gunshots. If someone is intent on killing you because they can't have you, they're going to do it.
Question is, can detectives prove it?
They got a search warrant to Armand's grandmother's home where he was living with his aunt.
Hi, how can I help you?
Ma'am, we have a warrant to search your property.
Oh, dear. Okay. Sure, come on in.
They don't find a smoking gun, but what they do find is almost as damning.
They discovered some very distinct shoes, the same ones that were in the surveillance footage.
You look at the shoes and definitely say they're the same shoes. And then they're shoes that happen to have gasoline on them.
Whoever set the fire had spread gasoline around the apartment.
They also had blood on them as well.
Before sending the shoes off to the lab for testing, the detectives lean on Armand's aunt.
Earlier, he told police she would vouch that he was home on the night of the murder.
But under pressure from the detectives, she caves.
So was your nephew at home all night on July 8th?
Yes. Yeah. No. Well, not all night.
She admits that on the night of the murders, she picked him up at the McDonald's down the street from Takira's apartment.
I don't know that she truly knew what was going on. You don't want to believe that he's capable of what he did to these kids. That's unthinkable.
Between the aunt's story, the surveillance video, and the shoes, detectives were able to place Armand near the scene of the crime on the night of the murder.
2 days after the murders, the detectives pull Armand out of the jail cell where he's being held on a parole violation and confront him with what they've learned.
I have your aunt talking to us, telling us that she picked you up in the area at the time of this occurrence.
No, it was not.
Armand was denying that he committed these crimes.
But it's no use.
We have a video of you.
However, there was still one thing that detectives wanted to know.
The only thing I do not understand is how you could possibly burn your children alive.
Cleveland police are convinced that 26-year-old Armand Johnson killed his ex-fiancée, Takira Collins, her 2 children, and their neighbor, David Cousin Jr.
You went over there.
No, I did not.
And you killed her.
No, I did not.
Armand tries to deny it, but the detectives have proof.
Your own aunt is saying she picked you up that morning from that area right there, and she took you home.
Detectives also have surveillance video to back up his aunt's story.
Armand being captured on camera in the neighborhood at McDonald's was instrumental in the case.
But what the detectives really want is a confession.
In the interview, detectives leaned hard on the fact that Armand's own son had died.
I can understand wanting to hurt her, but not the kids. I just don't understand that part of it.
However, despite the pressure, Armand refuses to crack.
I need to talk to my lawyer.
The interview over, the detectives book Armand on 4 counts of murder.
There's an aggravated murder for Takira, for each one of the kids, and for David Cousin.
As news of the arrest spreads, the community rallies around Takira's family.
Everyone was on social media screaming, "No justice, no peace."
But as the case moves to trial, the family has a long wait ahead of them.
We had COVID in the middle from the time that this crime happened until the time it went to trial. So there were a lot of delays in addition to what you would normally have with a capital case.
When Armand goes on trial in August of 2022, the prosecutors argue that he just couldn't accept that his relationship with Takira was over.
That was the catalyst. He didn't want to be without her.
And it's been documented that he had an anger issue, that he was jealous of her, he didn't want her with anyone else.
So, on the night of the murders, he'd gone to Takira's apartment.
What do you want?
We need to talk.
No, we don't. We have nothing to talk about.
The kid's asleep.
Yeah?
I'm coming in.
No, you're not. You're not welcome here. You need to leave.
Oh, I ain't going nowhere.
Takira tried to run, but it was no use.
He fired at her at least 10 times.
Then, once Takira was dead, he'd spread gasoline around the apartment.
When you look at where that gas was distributed throughout that house, Armand Johnson absolutely intended those kids to lose their lives. He didn't want to leave any witnesses to what he had done.
The prosecutors believe that's also why Armand killed David Cousin Jr.
He was just an innocent bystander, coming in the house at the wrong time.
Armand saw him as someone who could uncover this whole event. That's why he shot and killed him.
That was just so sad that he had to lose his life.
According to the prosecutors, there's no doubt that Armand was responsible.
They had the aunt, the video, and the shoes recovered during the search that all placed him near the scene of the crime.
And that's not all the prosecutors have.
The shoes he was wearing that night had Takira's DNA on them, likely from blood spatter.
Add it all up, it's more than enough for the jury.
Armand is found to be guilty.
He received 4 life sentences without parole. I can sleep well at night knowing that he's never getting out of prison.
Takira's loved ones are less satisfied with the outcome.
It wasn't enough for me. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. That's 4 lives, 2 adults and 2 kids. Then you still living, you still eating, you still breathing. No, that wasn't good enough for me. Still can't sleep at night.
While they still struggle to accept their loss, Takira's friends and family hope her story can help save others from a similar fate.
I don't wish this on nobody, not even my worst enemy. If you're going through that situation, get out.
Pay attention to the red flags. Don't ignore the warning signs. Don't wait before it's too late.
She was a single mother, doing everything she could.
As a single parent, you kind of rise to the occasion.
She was someone who was willing to put in that work.
She was determined to succeed.
All she needed was the right person by her side.
This is a man who's mature.
He had his own business.
He was someone that she could build a relationship with.
Until it all came undone.
The victim suffered a gunshot wound to the head.
We usually call that an execution style.
It's a very violent individual who did it.
Can the police find her killer?
There are so many frustrations.
Your chances get slimmer each passing hour.
If you don't have any evidence, then there's nowhere to go.
Or are they in for a long, cold wait?
You never know where that next piece of evidence can come from.
Lives change when guilt kicks in.
All those years, you could have picked up the phone.
July 15th, 2006. It's early Saturday morning in Long Beach, California, an oceanfront city of almost 500,000.
Long Beach is the best of both worlds because it's got that city vibe, but then it's got some really nice beach areas and restaurants and some great tourist spots.
It also has some spots that aren't on any tourist's itinerary.
You've got a lot of industrial area around there, but it's got this character of blue-collar, working class.
You have this underbelly, you have all these socio-economic issues.
There is a, we'll say, seedy side with gangs and drugs and violence.
And as the sun comes up that morning, it shines a harsh light on Long Beach's unsavory side.
Are you okay?
The person that was jogging outside had noticed a woman's body on the ground.
But when he moves closer, the man realizes the woman isn't okay.
Oh, God.
The victim suffered a gunshot wound to the head.
The man who found her called 911. And when first responders arrived on the scene, they confirmed that she was dead.
But it's not until homicide detectives arrive on the scene that police are able to determine the dead woman's name.
She didn't have her ID on her.
We checked the missing persons cases.
And they find one in the vicinity that has just been reported.
The missing persons report matches the physical description of their victim.
The missing woman is 20-year-old Tyquisha Myers. Tyquisha Myers had grown up in Las Vegas, surrounded by a loving family.
She was very trusting. She seemed like she was always looking out for the best in people.
However, her life wasn't without challenges.
Tyquisha got pregnant at 14.
The child's father wasn't in the picture, but still, Tyquisha wanted to have the baby.
Being 14 and having a newborn baby and being a single parent, all of those were the odds kind of stacked up against her. You're focused on just trying to build friendships, build connection, learn who you are. And now you're thrust into parenthood to now begin to turn your focus onto this child. And not really knowing how to parent because she was just a child herself, that was a very challenging time for her.
But Tyquisha rose to the challenge by throwing herself fully into motherhood.
She was determined to do better and not just succumb to what she was experiencing. Because as a single parent, you kind of rise to the occasion and try to learn and do all the things so that you can succeed.
But there was still something missing.
She wanted a father figure in her son's life, someone to make their family complete.
And when her son was 6 years old, she found him, a man named Carl Mays.
Carl wished her off her feet.
The relationship moved fast.
Because it had to.
Well, I'm only gonna be in town for a couple more days.
Really? Carl was only in Las Vegas for fun. He lived in Long Beach.
Got a shop out there, barbershop.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
This is a man who's mature, who's situated and has some type of foundation, who has his own business.
The Black Barbershop is a huge part of the community. You can pretty much feel the pulse of the community, and usually the head barber knows everybody or everything about what's going on.
Carl also represented a huge opportunity for Tyquisha.
He was someone that she could build a relationship with and provide a father figure for her son. So it's like a lot of hopes and dreams that she kind of all had bottled up into this package called Carl.
Maybe I can come to Long Beach and visit you sometime?
Oh, I'd like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Tyquisha made several trips to see Carl in California.
That really excited her, the possibility for what she and her son could experience in moving here to Long Beach.
We're right by the ocean. We're chilling, we're vibing.
And by the beginning of 2006, Tyquisha had made California her home.
Carl asked Tyquisha to marry him, and she said yes.
It's just like, yes, let's jump into it. She's lived with her parents for such a long time. So now she's just wanting to break free and just make her own decisions, choose whatever it is that she wants to choose and have this freedom.
She was someone with so much future ahead of her.
But now it appears that Tyquisha will never have the opportunity to embrace that future.
Police get a radio call of someone reporting that the person was lying injured on the trail from a single gunshot wound.
The detectives respond to the crime scene, and then a crime scene is established where the victim or where the body was found.
The yellow tape goes up. No one's allowed to come close so that the forensic technicians can start taking pictures.
Tyquisha had been reported missing the day before by her husband. But does that mean he's off the hook?
You have a female that's murdered and dumped on the side of the freeway.
A gunshot wound to the head means it's personal.
We were all saying it's a really angry spouse that might have done it.
"20-year-old Las Vegas native Tyquisha Myers was ready to start a new chapter in her life.
She's lived with her parents for such a long time. She's wanting to venture out and start her own family.
She and her 6-year-old son were in the process of moving to Long Beach, California.
But she wouldn't be in Long Beach alone. Just a few months earlier, she'd met and married 28-year-old Carl Mays.
Carl ran his own barbershop in Long Beach.
Seeing this as an opportunity to just have this love and acceptance and have the support of a male figure who is mature, who is established, who has a job, and who seems to be self-sufficient.
Only now, Tyquisha's new beginning has come to a violent end.
Soon after Carl reported her missing, Tyquisha was found alongside a bike path, dead from a single gunshot wound to the head.
When you have a gunshot wound to the head, usually we call that an execution-style murder.
Somebody was pissed off, or it's a very violent individual who did it.
But who was it that pulled the trigger?
Based on how this crime occurred, just the nature of it, you're gonna look for that maybe heat of passion suspect.
Leaving CSI and the coroner's team to finish processing the scene and remove the body for autopsy, the detectives decide it's time they talk to Tyquisha's husband, Carl.
The husband, the boyfriend, they're the first people you go to. Could it have been somebody else? Absolutely. But that's the first place you look.
From the scene, the detectives drive straight to Carl's barbershop.
Carl had provided his address to police when he filed the missing persons report.
May I help you?
Yes. We're looking for Carl Mays.
Yes. Y'all find Tyquisha?
I'm afraid so.
Carl appears stunned by the news that Tyquisha is dead.
I can't believe it. I mean, I was worried. I just never imagined something like this.
Sir, when's the last time you saw your wife?
Yesterday before she went out of town.
Carl explained that Tyquisha had been splitting her time between Long Beach and with her family in Vegas.
Why is that?
We were just working on some things.
What kind of things?
Married life, mostly.
After living her entire life at home, he says Tyquisha was having a hard time adjusting.
What to expect, what's expected of her, what to expect of others, all of that is something new that she possibly wasn't aware of because she was just 20 years old.
Carl said that Tyquisha had left her son with family in Vegas to come to Long Beach so that they could talk things over.
And she had dropped by the shop on her way back to Vegas.
Carl said she wanted some money that he owed her.
Did you give her the money?
Yeah, then she left. That was the last time I saw her.
Carl says he'd assumed Tyquisha had gone back to Las Vegas until he got a frantic call from her mother.
Her mama hadn't even heard from her, and nobody knew where she was, and it just didn't make any sense. So that's why I called the police.
To the detectives, Carl seems genuine, but they still need to rule him out.
Sir, do you own a gun?
No, I don't.
Do you mind if we look around a little bit?
Yeah, sure, whatever you need that helps.
He seemed more than willing to cooperate with the investigation.
With Carl's permission, detectives searched the shop, including the back room.
There's no evidence of a gun.
But they do find something interesting.
This yours?
Yeah.
There's blood on it.
He said that the blood was there because he cut himself while he was working.
It seems plausible, but detectives want to make sure.
You mind if we take it with us?
Yeah, we'd like to run some tests. Yeah, sure.
I'll bag it and take it to the cruiser.
Then, after talking to Carl, detectives talk to the other barber who works in the shop, a man named Harris Finley.
They start by asking him about Carl and Tyquisha's relationship.
When I think of a barber in a community like Long Beach, I think about a place where people are gonna talk about their lives and talk about their stories. Maybe there's a lot of joking, but maybe there's a lot of complaining.
Their instincts are right. Carl had told Harris a lot about his marriage.
He said they hit a rough patch, but they're putting things back together.
Did he say what the problem was?
Mostly that they got married too fast.
Harris also tells them he was at the barber shop when Tyquisha came by to see Carl.
Do you know what it was about?
I think she wanted some money.
He said they went in the back and talked a while. And when they came out, Carl handed Tyquisha some cash.
Call me when you get to Vegas.
Oh. He said she was only here for a few moments and she left, which backed up what Carl was sharing.
As a general rule, that's good evidence to rule that person out as a suspect.
The investigators were back at square one.
Detectives investigating Tyquisha Myers' murder have all but ruled out her husband, Carl Mays.
When they interviewed the barber that worked in the shop with Carl, he backed up what Carl was sharing.
So he gave her the money and she left.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Carl had told them in his statement.
But the next morning, when detectives received the results of the autopsy, the findings indicate that the murder must have occurred soon after she left the shop.
The medical examiner places Tyquisha's time of death on the afternoon of the 14th.
To determine where she'd gone after she left the barber shop, the detectives subpoena Tyquisha's phone records.
Phone evidence, and it's probably a lot better now, but in 2006, you could actually track someone by their phone.
Then, while waiting for Tyquisha's cell provider to respond to the subpoena, detectives reach out to her family in Las Vegas.
When they do, they learn that Tyquisha's mother is already in Long Beach.
After informing Tyquisha's mother that her daughter is dead, they arrange for her to come into the station and give them a statement.
First off, I want to say sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Assume you drove in from Las Vegas as soon as you realized she was missing.
No, I was already in town.
Tyquisha's mom said she and Tyquisha had been in the area for a few days prior to her disappearance.
She came back to attend a friend's funeral, but she still had issues with Carl that she had to settle.
What sort of issues?
Well, I think he owed her money.
Her statement echoes Carl's. However, Tyquisha's mom does add some new information about the day her daughter disappeared.
Tyquisha's mom dropped her off at the barbershop.
And she left with you?
No. She said she didn't know how long she would be.
She stated that Tyquisha was planning to see another friend in Long Beach after she left Carl's.
She said she would either get a ride with them or Carl would take her.
That was the last time she heard from her daughter.
Tyquisha's mother says she first realized something was wrong when Tyquisha wouldn't answer her phone.
I can just imagine trying to call and do all the checking to see what happened to her and not able to find her.
Tyquisha never answered. But the following morning, she'd gotten a hold of Carl.
She's not answering the phone?
No.
Okay, I can call the police.
To be honest, I was surprised that Carl offered.
Why is that?
Tyquisha and Carl were in this relationship where it didn't seem like it was going very well. They had some personal disputes.
Carl mentioned their issues when detectives spoke with him. But according to Tyquisha's mother, he hadn't told them the whole story.
The first time she came home after the wedding, I could tell there was trouble.
Her family says that she would show up with a lot of bruises.
They knew something was happening.
The mother wanted to put a stop to the relationship immediately.
But she says that Tyquisha denied the abuse, at least initially.
She said she fell or something. She always had an excuse.
It can be very hard for victims of domestic violence to come forth and be honest about what's happening to them. There can be a lot of embarrassment.
Eventually, Tyquisha had finally opened up and admitted the truth.
Tyquisha told her mother that Carl would sometimes lose his temper and get violent with her.
And Tyquisha's family finally convinced her to break things off, at least temporarily.
Tyquisha made the decision, from the support of her family and friends, to be able to put a pause on that relationship because she knew she deserved better.
She took her son and moved back to Las Vegas.
She made up her mind she was never going back to him.
So why'd she come back to see him then?
She just wanted the money he owed her.
She said that was supposed to be Tyquisha's last contact with Carl.
Had that final meetup cost Tyquisha her life? Or are the detectives missing something?
All you kind of have is Tyquisha's mother's word versus Carl's word.
He said she left.
And the other barber corroborated his story.
They're lying, both of them.
And according to Tyquisha's mom, she has proof.
She said that she was gonna give this to him, but she decided not to.
She had left a letter behind.
The note kind of details how hard life has been for her ever since she met Maze. One particular part details how it was a very controlling relationship.
But that wasn't all she said.
She actually indicated that she did not want to be around him and that she was happy to leave him.
She felt like she needed to escape.
The last thing that she wrote was that I was scared for my life.
Detectives investigating the murder of Tyquisha Myers have learned that she recently left her husband, Carl Mays, over emotional and physical abuse.
It's all detailed in a letter that Tyquisha's mother provided to detectives.
That note is a huge piece of evidence to paint a picture of their relationship.
And the last line of the letter all but names Carl as her killer.
Tyquisha closed the letter by stating, "I was scared for my life."
As an investigator, it really focuses your efforts into closing in on this person.
However, there's something standing between the detectives and an arrest. Carl's fellow barber, Harris Finley.
Harris told detectives that he was in the barbershop when Tyquisha dropped by.
He says that Carl gave her the money he owed her, and she left.
But now that they've read the letter she wrote, detectives aren't so sure.
Harris may have had reason to lie, too.
Carl was his employer, and so the reality is you're not going to mess up the way that you feed yourself or feed your family.
Harris could even be protecting himself.
If Carl had killed Tyquisha, maybe Harris helped get rid of the body.
There's suspicion of Carl mounting. Detectives do a little digging on Tyquisha's husband.
They're looking for previous crimes, any other history of domestic violence, restraining orders, things like that.
There's nothing in Carl's record as far as domestic violence or restraining order. But the search does reveal something.
The year before, he was arrested for having a loaded firearm on his possession in public.
Tyquisha died from a single gunshot wound to the head.
But while the weapons charge raises detective suspicions, it's a long way from a murder charge.
The weapons charge only proved that he used to own a gun, not that he had one now. And the search of the barbershop hadn't produced any evidence of a gun either.
However, the detectives hoped that one piece of evidence from the barbershop could be the breakthrough they need.
The investigators found a blanket that had blood on it.
At the time, Carl said the blood was his, but the detectives wanted to be sure.
They took it in for DNA.
The test results proved disappointing.
It came back as unconclusive.
Back in 2006, the technology just wasn't as refined as it is now.
But when detectives received Tyquisha's phone records, they further suggest that the murder did occur in the barbershop.
Cell phone records showed that was her last known location.
After that, there was no activity on Tyquisha's phone.
But the phone records alone aren't enough for an arrest.
There are so many frustrations because in your mind, you know that this is the person that most likely did this, but because of the lack of evidence, it's not a fileable case.
What detectives need is a confession.
The detectives brought Carl back in for questioning and confronted him with what Tyquisha's family said about the alleged abuse.
Any truth to that?
I mean, we could argue some, but no violence? I mean, some pushing and shoving, maybe. Her just as much as me, but no.
Carl also insists that things weren't over between them.
We were just taking a break for a little bit.
That's not what her family says.
Well, maybe she didn't tell her family everything.
He also insisted that Tyquisha left the barbershop alive, and that was the last contact that he ever had with her.
Harris was there. He saw her leave.
We know.
He maintains that he has nothing to hide.
He also gives the detectives permission to search his car.
Since she was found several miles from the barbershop, the detectives suspected that Carl may have used his car to move Tyquisha's body.
The search fails to turn up any blood or other evidence, and following up with Carl's co-worker, Harris Finley, is equally fruitless.
He maintains that Tyquisha left the shop alive.
It's very frustrating for detectives.
Unable to make an arrest, the case grows cold.
If you don't have any other leads, then there's nowhere to go.
It is extremely, extremely frustrating, and everybody feels for the family.
It's very hard on families. A lot of times, they don't understand what is really happening.
You feel like it's never going to be solved.
The frustrations only get worse as weeks turn to months and months into years.
It's a very, very challenging time for the family. They're trying to do the best that they can, trying to raise her son, and just not having the answers.
However, the case is never officially closed.
You gotta have faith that somebody will find something and someone will be put to justice.
When homicide cases go cold, it can give people time to think. Witnesses, even suspects, lives change, their conscience gets the best of them, the guilt kicks in.
Or they can get caught in a jam and need a little leverage.
Homicide.
In 2019, 13 years after Tyquisha's murder, Long Beach detectives get a call from a neighboring precinct.
They had arrested a man on other charges, and when they started questioning him, he said that he had information to give them.
The man they had in custody was Carl's friend, Harris Finley.
It's been 13 years since someone shot and killed Tyquisha Myers and dumped her body along a bike path in Long Beach, California. And investigators have never made an arrest.
As long as the suspect is out there running free, the case stays open.
But now, detectives may have finally caught a break when Harris Finley is arrested on an unrelated charge.
13 years earlier, Harris had provided an alibi for Tyquisha's husband, Carl Mays.
Out of the blue, Harris had started talking about Tyquisha's murder.
Harris be like, hey, well, if I tell you this, would it potentially reduce my charges?
When police hear what Harris has to say, they reach out to the Long Beach detectives, who are anxious to talk to Carl's old coworker.
When a witness comes forward after years of a case being cold, you take that statement.
Harris is booked on other charges while detectives drive over to interview him.
And this time, he has something very different to tell the detectives.
He said that Tyquisha never left the barber shop.
At least not alive.
Carl killed her.
Did you see him do it?
No, but I know he did it.
According to Harris, when Tyquisha stopped by the shop that day, she wasn't happy.
Where's my money, Carl?
I got it. Settle down, all right?
When Tyquisha enters the barbershop, they kind of start arguing a little bit.
He says Carl took Tyquisha into the back room of the barbershop to talk.
Did you happen to hear what they said?
Not really.
However, he says there was no mistaking what he heard next.
You're sure it was a gunshot?
Yeah.
Harris said that Carl came out of the back room a few minutes later.
What happened, man?
It was an accident. I didn't mean to do it.
Carl said that he tried to put the gun to her head, kind of to scare her.
He had no intention to take the shot, yet the gun went off.
Should we call the police?
No.
Carl said if anybody comes around asking any questions, you didn't hear anything, you didn't see anything, nothing happened.
Harris admits he'd done what Carl asked.
Why is that?
Because he had just killed someone.
We're talking about a witness that was in fear for his life.
But had that fear bought more than his silence?
You help him move the body?
Nah, man. I had nothing to do with any of that.
Detectives aren't sure if they believe him, but Harris's statement gives them the piece that they've been missing.
The witness statement matches the victim's injuries, matches how it could have happened, it matches the phone data, so everything is tied together.
But after 13 years of silence, can detectives believe him?
Oftentimes, suspects are just making things up, and clearly he has a motive to get out of whatever he was arrested for.
All those years, you could have gone to the police, you could have picked up the phone and made an anonymous tip, and you didn't. And the only time you decide to come up with this statement is when you're looking at potential incarceration.
Whether Harris is telling the truth or not, what to do with his new story isn't the detective's call.
You take that statement, and then as a detective, you give that information to the district attorney, and the DA is the one that has to convince the jury that what the witness is saying is true.
The prosecutors are open to cutting Harris a deal, but they're going to need something in return.
When somebody comes forward with this type of information, they're going to have to go the full length on ensuring that that information is used in the court case, which more than likely will be testifying.
Will his testimony alone be enough to ensure a conviction?
The defense attorney is going to try to discredit your witness.
If the reason he didn't speak 13 years before is because he was afraid for his life, then what changed?
A vulnerability to cross-examination isn't the only weakness in Harris's story either.
That type of information is not the smoking gun in this case. It could help, but it's witness testimony, which tends to be low on the totem pole in terms of evidence.
Luckily, detectives have one more piece of the puzzle.
Back in 2006, the detectives had recovered a blood-stained blanket from the barbershop.
At the time, DNA testing had been unable to determine if the blood was Tyquisha's.
The capabilities of DNA testing had progressed quite a bit over the years.
But will a second round of testing confirm what detectives long suspected?
They ran it, did the test, and they were able to say this blanket had her blood.
That DNA, it actually sealed the case.
Years after Tyquisha Myers' murder, police and prosecutors believe they finally have enough evidence to make an arrest.
DNA testing has determined that the blood on the blanket found in Carl's barbershop belongs to Tyquisha.
And it isn't the only thing detectives have to connect Tyquisha's husband, Carl Mays, to her murder.
Carl's co-worker, Harris Finley, said he heard a gunshot after Carl took Tyquisha into the back room of the barbershop.
The witness statement is actually the icing on the cake.
On September 13th, 2019, detectives finally take Carl Mays into custody. But when they get him into the interview room, he still denies having anything to do with Tyquisha's death.
I'm the one that reported her missing. Why would I do that if I killed her?
Harris said you did it.
He heard the gunshot.
The detectives tell him that his former coworker had changed his story.
He said that he's lying.
And the blood on the blanket? You said it was yours.
And we know that's a lie.
Now backed into a corner, detectives give Carl one more chance to come clean.
Come on, man. Do yourself a favor.
Somebody that's remorseful, or you get somebody that's confessed, that goes a long way.
But Carl is through talking.
No, I need my lawyer.
He asks for a lawyer, effectively ending the interview.
Even without a confession, detectives are able to book Carl on murder charges. And Tyquisha's family rejoices at the news.
It was a lot of crying and releasing of all of the emotion that has been building for those 13 years.
However, for the patrons of Carl's barbershop, the arrest comes as a shock.
When you're going to the barber shop and have a friendly face that you see all the time, you never picture that that person can take a life. And so it must be a scary thing for the community.
And when the case goes to trial, they're still wondering, is Carl a cold-blooded killer?
Once that person steps foot in the courtroom, all eyes are on them.
While Carl looks on from the defense table, the prosecutors lay out the case against him.
Prosecutors have to make sure that, they have enough evidence that the charges that they're presenting are going to stick.
They have the family's allegations of abuse, Tyquisha's phone records that last place her at the barbershop, and they have her blood on the blanket from Carl's storeroom.
They also have a star witness.
Harris Finley takes the stand and testifies that when Tyquisha came by the shop that day, Carl took her into the back room.
He recalls hearing a loud pop in the background and then Carl coming out.
But Tyquisha never came out.
Carl shot and killed her in that back room.
Harris doesn't know exactly why he did it, only that Carl and Tyquisha had been arguing over money.
However, the prosecution believes that money was only part of it.
I need my money, Carl.
If you wanted something from me, you should have stayed.
He could have been holding in some kind of anger or rage.
Until it suddenly and violently came boiling out.
Just give me my money, Carl.
Okay, I'll give you something.
That's when he shot her.
The DNA, the phone records, and Harris's testimony. According to the prosecutors, it all points to Carl as Tyquisha's killer.
Basically, they tied everything together in this neat little bow.
But when it's the defense's turn, Carl's attorney does his best to pull at any loose threads.
As the prosecutors predicted, the defense tried to discredit Harris Finley's testimony.
The defense in this case really focused on that.
May's attorney brought up how convenient it was for this guy who was facing charges for something unrelated to now bring up this murder 13 years later.
All the while, according to the defense, Tyquisha's real killer walked free.
What May's attorney was essentially trying to argue was that police dropped the ball again and again. They weren't diligent enough to go and find who actually did this.
When the case goes to the jury, they find Carl guilty of second-degree murder.
The reason you get second degree instead of first degree is because they just couldn't prove intent.
It might have been an intentional killing, but it might have been more in the heat of the moment.
The DA's office works off of the evidence that they can prove in court, and we're lucky they didn't get just manslaughter.
When it comes time for sentencing, the family argues in favor of the maximum sentence.
It's one thing for a crime to be a heat in the moment and you have immediate remorse, but it's another thing to not come forth and be honest about it. So there's a significant amount more of malicious intent.
And Tyquisha's mother had some harsh words for her daughter's killer.
Her mom pointed out that she wasn't gonna forgive him. He took her baby away from her, and that each year that he spends in jail, she hopes that haunts him.
But it's Tyquisha's own words that have the most impact.
Her sister took to the stand and read from the letter Tyquisha wrote to Carl prior to her death.
It was essentially describing in detail why she couldn't bear to continue the relationship with Mays and why she wanted this new life, this new start.
Carl appears unmoved by Tyquisha's words.
When the family was speaking, I don't think Carl really ever showed any remorse.
However, when the judge hands down his sentence, it appears that the family's passionate plea did have an impact.
He gives Carl the maximum sentence, 41 years to life.
Which means he'll be in his late 60s, early 70s, or even in his 80s before he comes up for parole. That's if he survives prison.
When the sentencing was handed down, it's finally over. It's been a long time coming, so there's a sense of relief.
The family also feels a sense of gratitude.
It's sad for the families to have to wait, but as long as that case is solved, then hopefully it gives the family some closure.
But even if Tyquisha finally has justice, her family still grieves her loss.
Her family and her friends have to live knowing that their loved one, their daughter, their sister, their friend, their mom, didn't get to be there with them, sharing the most precious moments of their lives.
Almost like the Wild West of technology. Everyone could see his talent. To lose such an amazing person was just devastating.
She explains that her husband may be alive or dead. She doesn't know because she didn't check.
She was speaking in a very matter-of-fact way, very monotone. This was shocking.
She is concerned that she's losing everything.
I'm not scared. It wasn't just sex with a stripper anymore. He was supporting someone else. I was supposed to be there.
The question was, did she plan to do it?
I couldn't live with my heart being broken every day.
January 1st, 2009, Pomona, California. Just 2 hours into the new year, 21-year-old Jessica Davidson receives a phone call.
She's leaving a New Year's Eve party with her boyfriend when she gets an unexpected phone call from her mother.
Her mom's name is Adrienne Davidson. So Adrienne calls her daughter Jessica to come to the house. And she says, I will tell you when you get here, I need you to just come.
Jessica and her boyfriend rush to the Davidson home, where Adrienne lives with her husband, Ezra, and Jessica's younger brother.
When they got to the house, Adrienne was outside in the driveway waiting for them.
And she says, okay, I need you to take your brother to your grandparents' house.
She makes a second request.
Adrian announces that she needs the boyfriend to take her somewhere. Jessica asks where, and in response, Adrian says the police station.
Confused but seeing her mom's urgency, Jessica goes inside to wake her brother.
It's kind of spooky, kind of weird. She's not sure what's happening.
Adrienne Renee Pert was born in 1962 in West Orange, New Jersey. She grew up in an upper-middle-class household with her parents and 3 siblings.
Adrienne's dad was a well-to-do dentist. She had 2 younger sisters by the same mom, and then they also had an older half-sister. For whatever reason, it seemed to be that Adrienne had somewhat of a difficult place in her family.
Adrienne's dad would question her intelligence. He would call her stupid. He would say she was sexually promiscuous. He would take a switch and spank her with things he didn't do to the other daughters.
After high school, her father sent her to Spelman College, which is an HBCU located in Atlanta, Georgia.
One of the things he did was make it really clear to her that even though he was sending her to college, his goal for her really was not so much that she get an education, but that she find a husband.
True to form, her father set up a blind date for her once she got down to Atlanta with the son of one of his college buddies. A gentleman named Ezra Davidson, who was a college student at nearby Spelman College in Atlanta.
Ezra came from Detroit, where his father was a successful OBGYN.
Ezra grew up in a very affluent household. His parents divorced at a relatively early age. He lived primarily with his mom.
There was an instant connection.
These are people who have a lot in common. They have these family backgrounds that go along with each other. They've had similar ambitions. They're both smart.
But as they got to know each other, it was what they didn't have in common that drew them closer.
He's described as very charismatic, very charming, gregarious, outgoing, pretty social. Whereas then Adrienne is described as the inverse, very to herself and a homebody.
She experiences happiness for the first time. She was deeply in love with him.
The couple dated for 2 years. Then, the happiness Adrienne waited so long for disappeared in a matter of weeks.
In junior year, Adrienne gets overwhelmed academically and drops out. And then soon after, Ezra breaks up with her. It was the night of a party that they had planned to have at Adrienne's apartment. And even though Ezra has broken up with Adrienne, he decides to still go ahead with the party, and Adrienne is allowing it.
This is absolutely devastating to her. And, we can all relate to being upset over a breakup, but this is, in some respects, I think, life-altering for her at the time. Adrienne goes into her bedroom and takes an entire bottle of sleeping pills and slits her wrist in an attempt to kill herself over this breakup.
Her sister finds her and engages 911, takes her to the hospital. She's held there for observation.
Adrienne is released the next day.
This does speak to a level of emotional dependence that is concerning. And it's concerning because it suggests that Adrienne feels like she can't live without somebody else. And that's a dangerous place to be.
After the suicide attempt, Ezra comes back and cares for Adrienne.
I do think that he felt on some level responsible for that, and then responsible for her.
Within a month, they were back to being a happy couple. During Ezra's senior year of college in 1984, the couple ends up getting married.
That same year, Ezra graduated magna cum laude with a degree in accounting. He easily secured a job at a top-ranked firm. A few years later, Adrian gave birth to Jessica.
She was a housewife. She was very devoted to Ezra. She moved with him for his work. They lived for a time in Austria.
They moved back to the United States, end up in California. Their son is born. Things are kind of trucking along.
Ezra decided to switch gears, making what he hoped would be a lucrative move from accounting to technology.
I met Ezra through my ex-husband who had a software company, and Ezra was an employee working in business development. He just picked it up very quickly and understood the technology and was able to work with clients to get them what they needed. He was just such a charismatic guy and vivacious and just drew people in, but he was also extremely intelligent. At that point, everyone could see his talent and his ability to work with customers and bring in new business. So that's why he was invited to join the new company as a partner.
This venture was one of the first of its kind to figure out how to put digital media on the internet.
For almost a decade, the company flourished.
In the early 2000s, it was almost like the Wild West of technology. And we reached a point in the company where we had grown significantly. We had some really strong contracts, and we decided that it was time to exit.
In September 2007, Ezra and his partners sold the company for a sizable profit. The windfall marked a new chapter for Ezra.
My ex-husband and Ezra were spending their social time together. They were going out to LA quite a bit. They were entertaining people at a higher level than prior with bottle service and spending more money because they had this newfound money, I believe. And so it was a happy time for them.
By late 2008, Jessica was in college. Adrian devoted her time to raising her son and taking care of Ezra. The entire Davidson family was enjoying Ezra's success.
He was able to put a lot of money down as a down payment on what he thought was his dream house in Pomona.
With a new home and a flush bank account, everything seemed to be going good for the family.
But the early morning hours of New Year's Day 2009 bring uncertainty. At Adrian's request, Jessica wakes her younger brother and ushers the sleepy child into her car.
Jessica is not sure what's happening, but she complies.
Jessica gets in the car with her brother and starts heading to the grandparents' house, and the boyfriend starts driving Adrian to the police station.
Eventually, Adrian arrives at an LA County Sheriff's Department substation.
Adrian walks up to the desk sergeant and, without any emotion, tells him, "I'm here to turn myself in."
Just hours into 2009, 46-year-old Adrian Davidson walks into a police substation in Los Angeles County, requesting to turn herself in. Adrian explains why.
She tells the police that she shot her husband and that he's back at their house in bed. She was speaking in a very matter-of-fact way, very monotone. This was obviously something that, was very shocking.
Certainly not every day that someone walks in and tells the desk sergeant that they just killed someone. So For one, he's going to be taken aback by the rarity of what just happened, but also the fact that she does it in a steady state is going to be a bit off-putting, to say the least. The desk sergeant isn't going to ask any questions about the crime. They're going to get it in the hands of a detective.
Investigators step out to speak with Adrian.
Adrian explains that the shooting took place about an hour earlier in the upstairs bedroom at her home. She explains that her husband may be alive or dead. She doesn't know because she didn't check, nor did she call 911.
Given the nature of her claim, investigators dispatch patrol officers to the Davidson home, hopeful they will find Adrian's husband, Ezra, alive. Both Adrian and Jessica's boyfriend are told to stay put.
The police, not knowing all of the details, they tell him that they're going to be impounding his car, as well as taking Adrian into custody because of the confession that she's made.
Jessica's boyfriend calls her and says, you got to come get me because they're impounding my car. And Jessica's like, what is going on?
He's not sure what's going on. He explains that the police took her mother back for questioning.
Jessica rushes to the station. Meanwhile, police officers arrive at the Davidson home.
The officers find Ezra Davidson lying motionless under the covers in the master bedroom. He is dead due to a single gunshot wound to the back of his head. Adrian was telling the truth. A 9mm shell casing is found behind the bed, and the 9mm handgun itself is found in a box in the closet. A tag on the side of the box indicates that the gun was sold to Adrian Davidson on December 15th, 2008. The evidence at the crime scene supports Adrian Davidson's story, but nothing explains why.
Back at the station, investigators put that question to Adrian.
She was speaking in a very matter-of-fact way, very monotone. You maybe wouldn't expect someone to have that calm of a demeanor considering what had taken place.
Adrian doesn't offer up details as to what led to the shooting, only that she is responsible.
She shot him, she put the gun up, she cleaned up, she got dressed, she made sure that her son did not go into the room, she closed the door, she called Jessica, and she was driven to the police station so she can confess. That is totally inconsistent with what a murderer does. After a murderer commits a crime, a murderer tries to stage the scene to make it seem like they did nothing wrong. And the last place they'd go is they go to the police department.
She could have concocted any story she wanted to about what had happened. They'd gotten some kind of a struggle, some kind of a fight, the gun accidentally went off. She doesn't do any of that.
Adrian's 21-year-old daughter Jessica arrives. By now, she is in a full-blown panic.
As an investigator, you're going to read the situation and make some tactical decisions as to how you want the interview with Jessica to play out. Do you want to lead with the fact that he's dead and see how she reacts? Do you want to hold that back and see how she plays to see if she admits that she's aware of it or not admit to it? So in this case, it sounds like they decided to just come straight at her and explain the situation. First thing they do is break the news to her that her father is dead.
And at that point, Jessica finds out that her mom has confessed to shooting her dad, which is the last thing that Jessica was expecting. Jessica is just reeling with this.
Despite her shock, investigators hope Jessica can shed light on what transpired between her mother and father.
She does talk to the police and she tells them about what she knows about their parents' relationship.
Jessica explains that she recently found out that her father is having an affair.
On January 1st, 2009, Police in Pomona, California interview 21-year-old Jessica Davidson about the shooting death of her father, Ezra. Jessica explains that a few weeks earlier, her mother asked her for help with a computer.
It seems that Ezra has decided to write a book. So Adrian wants to look at the book, and she asked Jessica to help her go onto the laptop.
Jessica helped her mother find the document.
Adrian went and read a manuscript, and there was a character in the book, and the way that character was described sounded like this woman that he worked with.
The name in the book is very similar to his secretary's name. And so she digs a little bit deeper, and that's where she sees details of email exchanges that reveals to her that he has been having an affair with his secretary, who happens to also be a college student who's about 20 years old.
Jessica explained that one email in particular sent her mother into a tailspin.
She finds essentially a written contract between her husband and her husband's mistress, where her husband has agreed to pay her rent, to pay part of her tuition, and to pay her car note in exchange for sexual favors.
This person that he's involved with is 20 years old, basically a year younger than their daughter. And so for her, it's like, you know, the world is crashing down.
Adrian was very surprised. She was very shocked. She was very upset.
For detectives, the revelation offers potential insight into Adrian's actions.
As an investigator, and from a legal standpoint, you don't ever have to prove motive, but finding out what the motive is something that gets the investigators' ears to perk up, and they're gonna try and pull on that thread to see how far it goes.
Investigators continue to question Jessica. She admits that she too was upset. Her father had been far less generous when it came to her.
Jessica is like, I'm driving a junk car, and my dad isn't helping me financially. She feels disrespected. She feels unloved that her dad is choosing to put a 20-year-old girl above her as his daughter.
Jessica and Adrian discussed what to do next.
Jessica asked her, you know, what do you want to do about this? I think maybe you should just go get a divorce. And her mom said, you know, I'll just figure it out, I'll handle it.
A few days later, Adrian took her findings to Ezra.
According to Jessica, her mother confronted her father about the affair, and he admitted to it. He explained that he had no intention of ending the affair, and he even went so far as to give Adrian an ultimatum.
He basically tells her she is number two, she being Adrian, and the young lady is number one.
He told her to either accept that he was going to be having affairs or he would divorce her.
Adrian did not want to get a divorce because not only religiously that it was not something that she agreed with, but also her identity and her attachment to her husband was a huge deal. She didn't see herself being by herself and not with her husband.
In the following days, Jessica says her mother called her incessantly.
This is very atypical of their relationship. Her daughter Jessica describes her as somebody who was, in some respects, emotionally distant, not somebody who would talk about her problems, and yet all of a sudden her mom is talking to Jessica every day, calling her multiple times.
After several days of agonizing over the situation, Adrian decides that she doesn't want a divorce and that she's willing to allow Ezra to have his affairs.
Adrian feels like she doesn't have any options. It doesn't necessarily sit right with her, but she tries, right? She's trying to say, okay, you know what, it's fine. I still have my home. I still have my life. I still have my husband. I still have my children. This can be okay.
Jessica says that on New Year's Eve, the whole family gathered at the Davidson home for dinner.
Jessica's there with her boyfriend, and they have a delightful dinner. Everything is going very well. After dinner, Jessica and her boyfriend leave to go to a New Year's Eve party.
Jessica and her boyfriend left around 9 p.m. Several hours later, she received the call from Adrian asking her to return home. Now, Jessica is demanding to know what happened after she left.
Jessica says to the police, I am not leaving this police station until I talk to my mom. And so they allow her to go in and talk to her mom.
There's no downside from the investigator standpoint to letting this conversation take place because they know that it's going to be recorded, and even if you tell someone it's going to be recorded, once they get into the emotional exchange between a mother and a daughter about killing a father, it's a pretty good bet that something's going to slip out.
Did you plan this?
Just hours after the shooting death of businessman Ezra Davidson, his 21-year-old daughter confronts his alleged killer, her mother, Adrian Davidson. Investigators listen in.
What happened? You know what happened. What? No, I don't, Mom. I don't want to know, but what I need to know is, like, what set you off?
Up to that point, Adrian had been very calm, very matter-of-fact, but when she spoke to her daughter in the interview room, she really broke down.
I'm sorry. Oh, no. I'm not mad at you, Mom. I love your father. It just broke my heart.
But it's where the conversation goes next that really catches the attention of investigators.
I mean, is this what you meant when you told me you were going to take care of things on the first?
For the investigators, their ears are going to perk up when they get this tidbit where Adrian tells Jessica she's going to take care of everything on the first. And here we are on the first, and the husband's dead. To the police, this sure sounds like what she's saying is she meant to kill her husband on New Year's Day. But Adrian doesn't answer the question directly.
Jessica, kept asking her mother, why did you decide to do this? You should have just left him.
I got scared. Scared of what? I was supposed to be with your father. I just love your father so much. Mom, we would have figured a way. We would have taken care of things. I couldn't live with my heart being broken every day. It just broke my heart. I know, Mom.
Following the conversation, Jessica and her boyfriend are allowed to leave. However, Adrian is placed under arrest.
The investigators are left trying to figure out, do they arrest her for first-degree murder or manslaughter? And whether or not this is a premeditated crime or whether it's a crime of passion. And they've got some information that suggests she's in this emotional state, but other pieces of information that are explaining that she's making very clear and calculated decisions.
Hoping to find out, investigators keep digging. They track down the gun dealer who sold Adrian the gun on December 15th. One day after she had learned that her husband was having an affair.
The gun dealer explains that Adrian told him that she was buying a weapon for self-defense.
She tells him her husband goes on business trips and she needs to feel safe.
But Adrian didn't leave with the gun.
The law in California states that there's a 10-day waiting period after you purchase the gun between when you make the purchase and when you can actually pick it up. And it's to prevent people from committing rash acts like suicide or murder.
She still goes and picks the gun up on December 29th. She comes home and she puts the gun in her closet. Doesn't tell anybody that she has the gun.
Was Adrian really looking to protect herself? Or was she planning her husband's murder? Investigators look at the couple's finances. They learn that in the 2 years since he sold his company, Ezra enjoyed a new lifestyle thanks to the hefty profit.
He goes through a period where he just wants to party and go out and have a good time. And he's celebrating, he's taking other people out to dinner, he's spending money on his employees. And it seems like Adrian is taking more and more of a backseat in their relationship.
Ezra got caught up in the excitement of having all this money, and he and my ex were going out and celebrating and drawing a lot of attention. I think in his mind, he was just enjoying his life and having fun and spending money.
By the end of 2008, Ezra's spending caught up with him.
Investigators determine that the family has fallen behind in their mortgage payments and are in risk of losing their house.
A fact investigators believe could have fueled Adrian's anger over the affair.
Yet, with all these financial difficulties, Ezra is still finding a way to make the payments of his mistress's rent.
He is spending all this money on somebody while their family was suffering. He's going to continue to do this. She's angry.
The question was, did she kill him as a result of provocation, or did she plan to do it?
Almost a month after the murder, investigators believe they have the answer.
On January 29, 2009, Adrian is charged with first-degree murder. Now, prosecutors must hope that a jury believes that Adrian is a vengeful, premeditated murderer.
In February 2010, Adrian Davidson is on trial for fatally shooting her husband of 24 years, Ezra. She is charged with first-degree murder.
It shocked me when they refused to offer her a manslaughter. It was an unlawful killing, clearly, but it was a manslaughter.
The prosecution make their case.
They point out that Adrian went out and bought a handgun the day after she found out that her husband was cheating on her.
She had to decide, I'm going to buy a gun. She had never had a gun before. She had to research what type of gun she should get. She had to locate a gun dealer. She had to talk to the gun dealer. And she put the gun in her room where she could use it.
Adrian's attorneys present their side.
In Adrian's defense, they didn't contest that she actually committed the killing. But what they were saying is that it took place in the heat of passion, that it wasn't a premeditated murder.
Jessica takes the stand, testifying about an incident that happened when the family lived in Austria.
Jessica remembers her mother getting upset with her father after finding out that he'd been having an affair with a stripper.
And her response is to take all of his clothes, and she cuts holes in all of his business shirts, and she also cuts out his face from a lot of their family photographs.
Ezra retaliated.
The daughter said she remembers her father dragging her mother down a flight of stairs by her hair. The daughter testified to how her father was abusive verbally and how he would beat her mother. Once they moved back to the United States, the beatings, the humiliations continued. He was constantly having affairs, constantly beating her, constantly humiliating her.
The defense calls who they hope will be their star witness, Adrian Davidson. Adrian testifies about her marriage.
She just wanted someone to take care of her, to value her, to validate her. And the truth of it is that Ezra was not always unkind. There were a lot of times where Ezra was glowing and made her feel good. And so for Adrian, there was a benefit to her being the wife of Ezra and continuing. And that benefit allowed her to compartmentalize or become apathetic to the things that weren't working well.
But in light of Ezra's latest affair, her whole world felt uncertain.
It wasn't just sex with a stripper anymore. He was supporting someone else.
She is concerned that she's losing everything, everything. She's losing her emotional security, her financial security. I mean, everything that she uses to base her identity on.
She tells the jury that on the night Ezra died, she made an impassioned plea to her husband.
She asked Ezra, look, I just want to have you New Year's Eve and New Year's Day without the mistress being involved. That's all I'm asking for right now. I'm going to accept her, but it's the beginning of the year. I just want to start it off with you.
Ezra agreed.
Ezra brought dinner and champagne home with him and spent time with Jessica and her boyfriend, who were headed out later to a party with their friends.
Jessica and her boyfriend left at around 7. And then Adrian and Ezra had from what all accounts, was a nice evening together.
Eventually, their young son goes to bed, and it's just the two of them.
They drank champagne, they slept together, they also watched New Year's festivities on TV. When the time came for the countdown for the new year, Adrian was excited to share that moment with Ezra.
They watched the ball drop in New York. She was very much in love with him that night and very much enjoying that night. And she asked her husband, could he stay there? Could they have not only New Year's Eve, but New Year's Day also? And he told her no. New Year's Day will be for his girlfriend.
Crestfallen, she went to bed and waited for Ezra to join her. But he never did.
She came back downstairs to see what was happening with Ezra.
She sees that he's on his phone texting his girlfriend. She's assuming that he's texting the girlfriend.
And I think that just became so symbolic for her. It is the start of a new year, and this is how it started.
Adrian says she returned to the bedroom.
She is just stewing over this, and she just has all this emotion. And he comes up, and she tries to talk to him again. I'm just asking you for a few things. On the holidays, don't talk to your mistress. I mean, just reserve the holidays for our family and make sure that you're financially responsible for our family and for our children. And he just says, no, it's your problem. Deal with it on your own. I'm not making any promises to you.
He turned over, went to sleep. She was devastated. She went in the closet, almost like on remote control, got the gun, was intending on shooting herself in the head.
But before she knew it, things would take a very different turn. Adrian Davidson is on trial for the first-degree murder of her husband, Ezra. She testifies that on the night of his death, she retrieved the gun from the closet with the intention of taking her own life.
She starts thinking about the logistics of it, the details of it, like where is she going to shoot herself? She decides to kill herself in bed.
She wants him to find her laying next to him, dead.
She held the gun to her head. She put the barrel of the gun in her mouth, all while he's there sleeping soundly.
She's upset and he's sleeping like there's no care in the world, like a baby. And it's too much for her.
Before she knew what she was doing, she turned the gun on her husband and pulled the trigger.
Just instantly, she changed the gun and shot him in the head.
The defense closes, arguing that the only thing Adrian planned was her own death.
She goes there to purchase a handgun with the intention to take her own life. And why do I say I'm very strong and clear on that? Because all of her life, at various parts, she's been suicidal. She actually attempted suicide when Ezra broke it off. What you don't have with her is a history of violence at all.
Will the jury agree?
The case goes to the jury on March 9th, 2010. It only takes the jury 3.5 hours to deliberate. They come back with a guilty verdict. They find 47-year-old Adrian Davidson guilty of first-degree murder.
By law in California, first-degree murder carries a sentence of 25 years to life. The sentencing enhancement of using a gun in the commission of the murder also carries an additional 25 years. So the judge didn't have any ability to give a sentence, less or greater than 50 years to life.
Adrian's incarceration leaves their son to be raised by family members.
She should have divorced him, but she chose something that was horrible and unimaginable, and it just ruined so many lives.
Cases like this showcase that we can never tell what is the perfect storm of events and factors that can cause someone to lash out or act out of character.
The hardest part of losing Ezra was just knowing what a great person he was. I knew, that he had made mistakes and things got, crazy, but I don't believe he deserved to be killed